A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Kroger Tender Ray Beef, no other beef so fresh, can be so tender, presents Hearts in Harmony, transcribed. You know, fortune-telling is not a specialty of ours, but we can tell you right now that you'll say it was a mighty fortunate day for you when you visited your Kroger store to buy Kroger quality beef. What a tasty treat. Tender? Yes, ma'am. Delicious? You betcha. Why, it's just brimming with flavory-rich juices, with delicious tenderness. Just think what a wonderful thrill it'll be for you to surprise your family with a thick, juicy steak, or a crusty brown roast of beef. Or perhaps the folks at your house go for savory beef stew, or boiled beef with horseradish. Well, no matter which main dish you choose, you'll find the delightful goodness of Kroger quality beef will please the entire family. Remember, Kroger quality beef is carefully selected from the best beef on the market today. And not only is it the best grade of beef available, it's priced for real thrift, too. So be sure to visit your Kroger store soon, the only place you can buy it, and get Kroger quality beef. It's deliciously tasty and tender, and it's available now at your Kroger store. And now, Hearts in Harmony. Last week, Penny Gibbs and Freddie Lang went with Nora Williams to visit her father on his dilapidated dairy farm. There, Freddie discovered that with a little work and a considerable amount of money, the dairy could again be put in operation. He talked to Nora's father about it, and today Nora says to Freddie,
"Oh, Freddie, I don't know what to say to thank you."
Oh, listen, you ain't got to thank me for nothing, Nora.
Oh, but I have. Daddy was here this morning, and he's all excited about fixing up the dairy.
So what? You should have had the idea a whole long time ago.
I know. That's what I want to thank you for. It was what you said to him last week that got him all excited. Oh, Freddie, it's just super to see Daddy wanting to do something again. And it's all because of you.
No, it ain't, Nora. If he'd have gone out there and seen what I seen, he'd have had the idea himself.
No, Freddie, you don't understand. Daddy knew what was on the farm, but he just didn't care what was there or what happened to it. He told me himself when he was here this morning that it was you who made him want to do something about it. And golly, thanks.
Look, kid, you're jumping the gun, see? So I got your old man all in a heat to go into the dairy business. It ain't going to get him into it, though, till the bank coughs up the dough that he needs to get started.
I know that, but Daddy's sure the bank will lend him the money. It's just as you said when I took you out to look at the place. The equipment out there is worth a lot of money. Daddy said that it can be collateral or something, or whatever you borrow money on.
Well, I don't know anything about that. Or not much, anyway. All I know is your old man has been a sap not to dig in and make that farm of his pay off a whole long time ago.
Oh, Freddie, you don't know why he did it. You see, he didn't care about the farm or anything, and he was going to feel that way just forever, I know it. But you made him feel differently, and he's just ever so grateful to you, too. He said so.
Oh, baloney. Don't try to put a halo on me, Nora. I don't like the things. They're drafty. Besides, I ain't got the face for one.
Brush the hair out of your eyes and let's see.
Oh, look, leave me alone, will you? I like me just the way I am.
Oh, you do you?
Yeah.
Now, what did you comb your hair with this morning? An electric fan?
Never mind what I combed it with this morning. That was this morning. I did a lot of work at the office, too.
Oh.
I didn't have time to go to the mirror every 5 seconds the way you dames do.
But, Freddie, you should try to look a little neater. Here, let me push the hair back for you. Now,
Will you get your mitts out of my mop, huh? Listen, if there's anything that burns me up, it's having a dame playing around with my hair.
I'm sorry. Oh, but Cricket, you don't have to get so mad about it.
Well, having dames trying to make a rover boy out of me makes me mad. First thing I know, you'll want me to wear long golden curls. Yeah, I know. I'd look cute, wouldn't I? Black beard and long golden curls.
I'll bet you had them when you were a little boy.
I wasn't never a little boy. At least I don't remember.
Well, I was a little girl, and I remember.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, why don't you tell this 22-year-old crib kicker just how it feels to be out of high school and 90 years old?
Well, I didn't say I was 90. I admit I'm 17, but that's old.
Oh, it's old, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Grandma, go ahead. Tell little Junior all about the horse and buggy days.
Oh, you're just jealous, Freddie Lang. You want to be the only grown-up besides Miss Gibbs around here. Well, Miss Gibbs thinks I'm grown up whether you do or not. You're mean, that's what. And I'm not going to talk to you anymore.
That a promise?
Yes, that's a promise.
Oh, look, come back, will you? I was just teasing you, kid.
Oh, you were? Well, then why do you call me a kid?
Oh, maybe because I like to.
It's because you think I am a kid.
Well, I'll bet some of Gibbsy's boyfriends call her baby, and they sure don't think she's no kid, if you get what I mean.
Yes, I get what you mean.
Good. Hey, giggle like that some more, will you?
Oh, now what's wrong?
What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Hey, look, Nora.
Huh?
What do you think that everything's wrong for, huh? You got an inferior complex or something? Okay. Now what's funny?
You won't be mad.
No, I won't be mad. What's wrong?
You didn't mean inferior complex. You meant inferiority complex.
Yeah, inferiority. Well, okay, so I never went to school. I used the wrong words. But, you know what I meant, didn't you?
Oh, sure. Well, you didn't mind if I corrected you, did you?
No, I didn't. I guess you know better about a lot of things. At least better about a lot more things than I do. It's okay.
Oh, Freddie, I've hurt your feelings.
No, you ain't, Nora. It's just that... Well, I thought I was smart because I didn't go to school when I was a kid. And guess now I'm beginning to see where it wasn't such a hot thing to do.
Oh, but Freddie, there's still a lot of time
No,
to do
there ain't, Nora. There ain't no time at all. I got to work now. Wish somebody made me go to school, though. Here I am, 22 years old, almost 23, and you, just a kid. I mean, you're 5 years younger than me, and you can tell me, well, what's what about a lot of things.
Would you like to know about a lot of things, Freddie?
Yeah, I guess I would.
Well, I still have a lot of my school books, and there's the public library.
Kid, I got mostly solid bone between my ears by now, see, and there ain't much room left over for learning things out of books. If I get hep at all, it's going to be sort of ad lib. You know, learning things as I go along.
Well, Daddy says practical experience is the best teacher.
Well, I sure hope your old man's right, Nora.
Well, crickets he usually is.
Well, he was sure right when he had you for a daughter. But I don't know how right he was about picking me to go into business with him. Hey, Nora, I meant to ask you. Was he on the level about that?
Oh, crickets, yes. He was talking about it this morning. And I'll tell you a little secret if you'll promise not to tell.
No, I won't tell. Go ahead.
Daddy was just going to let you be the manager.
Oh. Well, now what's he going to let me be? The water boy?
Oh, golly, no. He's going to ask you to be his partner.
Me? A partner?
Uh-huh, a real partner. Isn't that just super?
Super nothing. That's just plain nuts. Look, I ain't got no right to cut in on that joint, Nora. It belongs to your old man, and he's off his trolley if he gives anybody a piece of it.
But he wants you to have a part of it. Oh, and please be surprised when he tells you. And don't refuse him. He likes you an awful lot, and... Oh, crickets, I guess I might as well admit it. So do I. It isn't bad to admit that, is it, Freddie? Golly, I hope it is. Just a minute.
Hello, Penny.
Johnny, come on in.
Thanks.
You look awfully sad, Johnny. What's wrong?
Plenty. Hate to burden you with it, Penny, but I've just got to tell someone.
Well, you know you can tell me anything.
Thanks.
Look, come on in and sit down. As a matter of fact, I think I can guess what it's all about. It's Alice, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, it is. I got an airmail special delivery from one of the doctors down there.
Mm-hmm.
Got here just a little while ago.
From one of the doctors, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Does that mean that she's very ill?
I'm afraid it's worse than that, Penny. She's not going to get well.
Oh, Johnny. Johnny, I don't know quite what to say.
Well, there isn't anything to say, Penny. Worst of all, there isn't anything to do.
I'm afraid I don't know what you mean.
Well, I phoned the doctor after I read his letter, and he explained what he meant when he said there was no point in my coming down there to see her. There's nothing I can do for her. And even if I go to see her, it won't help her any. She won't know who I am.
Oh, Johnny, how awful.
Yeah, it is. But there's one consolation. She's in no pain whatsoever. The doctor assured me of that. She's, well, I think you know.
Yeah. It does help to know that, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. And it helps to know it won't last forever.
Johnny, is there anything I can do for you, I mean?
No, Penny. Just let me come and talk to you like this once in a while.
You can come here as often as you like, you know that.
No. If I were here as often as I like, I'd be here all the time.
Well, while Alice is so ill, if you'd like to...
No, Penny. Thanks just the same. It's hard to explain, but I think you know what's on my mind, and what's in my heart was, is, always will be.
Yes, Johnny, I know.
Don't ever forget it, huh?
No, I won't, not now or ever. Johnny, if there were just something we could do for Alice. This way you feel so helpless, don't you?
Yeah, and cruel. Knowing that you can go on living and someone else can't. Sometimes I don't think we'd better talk about it, do you?
No, I don't.
Well, what's the matter? Afraid to face the music, huh?
Oh, hello, Freddie.
Freddie, don't be flip.
No? Well, what's the matter with you two, huh?
Oh, nothing.
Freddie, Johnny's wife is dying.
Oh.
It's all right. It's all right, Freddie. You didn't know, and I...
No, I didn't know, Mr. Keith, but that ain't no excuse for me popping in here like a funny-faced jack-in-the-box. Gee, I am awfully sorry, Mr. Keith. And Gibbsy here will tell you that I didn't mean any harm.
I know you didn't, Freddie. Well, look, Penny, I've got to be going. There's some work to do at the office, and I guess it's better if I keep busy.
Yes, it is, Johnny. Look, would you like Freddie and me to come to the office with you?
Yeah, sure, Mr. Keith.
No,
Thanks.
thanks. Thanks just the same, but this is work I have to do alone. Good night.
Good night, Johnny.
Well, go ahead, Gibbsy. Smack me one across the mouth. I sure got it coming.
No, you haven't, Freddie, but I hope it's taught you a lesson. Think before you speak.
Yeah, I'll try to remember that, Gibbsy. Shouldn't be too tough to figure out, but it is tough to figure out what makes me feel so different these days.
What do you mean different, Freddie?
I don't know, Gibbsy. Except that when I pull stunts like shooting off my mouth at the wrong time, I don't feel like such a no-account bum anymore.
You never were, Freddie. You just thought so.
No, Gibbsy. It's something else. Something's changed. You know, ever since I jumped all over Nora's old man to get that farm of his perking, why, I felt all different inside.
Oh, that's it, is it? Well, I'm not surprised.
Why not?
Well, Freddie, you've done something for someone. Maybe for the first time in your life. You've helped someone.
You mean that all you have to do to make yourself feel better inside is help someone?
It usually works that way.
Well, what do you know? Gibbsy, you're looking at the new Freddie Lang. New in the making, that is. Because from now on, I'm going to be known as Freddie Lang, the world's greatest little helper.
So Freddie Lang has at last turned out to be the person Penny has so long hoped he would be. Will he be the new Freddie Lang for long? And how will Alice's death affect Penny? Will it take Johnny Keith out of her life or bring them closer together? Be sure to listen to the next dramatic episode of Hearts in Harmony. There's nothing quite like a delicious beef dinner to welcome your family home from a day's work. And the best beef that's available on today's market is Kroger Quality Beef. Yes, Kroger Quality Beef is deliciously tender and juicy, and it's your 100% correct answer to what shall I have for dinner. Now is the time to serve the dinner that's sure to please everybody at your house. Now is the time to thrill your folks with a delicious beef dinner. Surprise them by serving boiled beef with a tangy horseradish sauce to enhance the goodness of savory meat. Delight them with roast beef that's crusty brown and juicy red. Or satisfy those vigorous appetites with a magnificently thick steak. Soon as you can, visit your Kroger store and get Kroger Quality Beef. Remember, Kroger Quality Beef is the very best beef you can buy today. Now your local announcer.
The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to robbery detail. A pair of bandits are staging a rapid-fire campaign of holdups in your city. In 21 days, 11 food markets have been robbed. The holdups go on. The suspects are still unidentified. Your job? Get them. Dragnet. the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, September 26th. It was hot in Los Angeles. We were working a day watch out of robbery detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Didion. My name's Freddie. It was 9:18 a.m. when I got to the record bureau. Lieutenant Cunningham's office.
Joe, what's doing?
Oh, not too much. Got a job you can do for us, Frank. Like to have it as soon as you can get it out.
Oh, what's it about?
Only these market bandits. We've already gotten out a dozen teletypes and bulletins on them. Like to get out some mimeographs, too, if we can.
General distribution, eh? What do you want on them?
Well, I better lay out the whole thing for you. A lot of the copies are going to the Retail Grocers Association, all their members.
No luck with those two fees so far, huh?
No. We're no closer than we were 3 weeks ago. Figure this ought to plug another loophole.
How many copies you figure you want on this? About 1,000?
Yeah, that's fine. That ought to do it.
All right. Okay, now where do you want to go in it, Joe?
Well, you better lead off with the first job they pulled. That was on the 3rd of this month. Makes it a little better than 3 weeks now. They hit a supermarket out on Pico.
Okay.
Got it? Ever since, they've averaged about 3 jobs a week. We know they're hitting nothing but supermarkets. All of them on main thoroughfares, no small neighborhood stuff.
I got it.
So far, they've confined their operations to the 77th Street Division and the county territories, generally the south end of town. They're 2 men, and they got a pretty well-established M.O.
Well-established, okay.
They're hitting in the morning hours, usually from the time the markets open up until around noontime. They use a stolen car. 95% of the time, a car stolen from the industrial area. Cars they steal for the jobs are always either a Pontiac or a Nag.
Yeah.
We also know they're dropping the stolen cars within a short radius of the holdup scene, about a half a dozen blocks or so. In some instances, they use a second automobile or public transportation, some kind of bus or streetcar, to make their getaway after they drop the stolen car.
Joey.
I'm sorry. It's a little fast, huh?
Yeah. Okay, I got it.
Okay. Well, they usually pull up and park directly in front of the market that they're going to hold up. One of the men always remains in the car behind the wheel. Apparently, it's always the same man.
His description?
Meager. We know he's good size. MWA. Fairly large build. Here's about the best description we've been able to piece together on the second man. Picked up a little bit from each victim.
All right.
Second man described as MWA also. About 5 foot 8 inches, medium build, 155 to 160 pounds.
Yeah.
Always wears a hat.
Yeah.
Brown suit, rough material of some kind, maybe tweed. Want to smoke, Frank?
Huh?
Smoke.
Oh, no.
All right. When he enters the market for the holdup, the second man always holds a white handkerchief to his face as if he's wiping his eyes. Keeps most of his face covered with it during the robbery. He's armed with a nickel-plated revolver, possibly 38 caliber.
Yeah.
We know the jobs are well cased because in almost every instance the suspect goes directly to the manager of the market.
Directly to the manager.
He hands the manager a brown paper sack, tells him to put the money in it, and then he takes off. So far, he's never attempted any rough stuff, no gunplay. On 3 occasions, when the suspects got only small amounts of money at one market, they hit again in 15 or 20 minutes at another store in the same general area. They never make any attempt to disguise or conceal the license number on the getaway car. As I say, they always abandon the car a short distance from the holdup scene.
Let's see, Okay, I got it.
Well, that's about all of it, Frank. I guess you can boil that down into some kind of shape, huh?
Yeah, okay. I'll have it typed up in the form. I'll get you a copy before we make the run, see if it's okay with you.
Fine, thanks.
Not going so good, huh?
No, it isn't, Frank. Pretty slow. We've been on top of this thing for a couple of weeks now. We're still looking for some kind of a break.
See, I understand Glenn Chandler from your office took off for some fishing down in Mexico, huh?
Yeah. Not doing bad from what I hear. I got a card from him yesterday. He's down by Keno Bay.
Huh?
He put the bite on me to send him a dozen martin plugs.
Fish must be hidden pretty good down there.
That's what he says, yeah. Those big brown sea bass especially. I wouldn't mind getting in a couple of days down there myself.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Record Bureau, Cunningham. Yeah, just a minute. You, Joe.
Thanks, Frank. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man. When? All right. Yeah, okay. Right away. Yeah, fine. Check that for me later, Frank. Might be a little change.
What's the matter?
Market bandits. They hit again.
These days, most commercial banks seem to be interested in talking to you about themselves and telling you what to do. But at San Juan Bank, California, we prefer a different approach, one that most banks don't use. We listen to your needs, to your plans, to your dreams. We found that only by listening can we truly understand. Without understanding your business, no one should be giving you advice. But listening, understanding, and fulfilling the needs of thousands of California businesses is why Sanwa Bank is the third largest bank headquartered in California, something you may not have known. Sanwa bankers are relationship-oriented and experienced in working with businesses large and small. Our senior relationship managers will work directly with your staff to create the solutions you need today and beyond. So see your Sanwa banker. There are more than 100 offices statewide, or call 1-800-400-2781. When you do, we'll do something that you just might not have experienced in quite a while. We'll listen.
Sanwa Bank, California. A relationship worth having.
Finding out you or a loved one has cancer is never easy. It's natural to be afraid when faced with the decision of choosing a cancer treatment. This is the cancer itself. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center is the result of 4 decades of leading-edge cancer research and treatment. Opened in 1990, the Proton Treatment Center offers a non-surgical procedure that is superior to traditional radiation therapy in a number of ways. Proton therapy is so precise, there is little or no damage to surrounding tissue. This results in minimal side effects, and most patients experience no disruption in their daily activities. In fact, proton therapy is offered as an outpatient procedure. Call 1-800-PROTONS for a free information packet and videotape explaining the benefits of proton therapy. 1-800-PROTONS. The Proton Treatment Center at Loma Linda University Medical Center. 1-800-PROTONS.
KNX 1070 News Radio.
9:38 a.m. Ben and I got in the car and drove to the scene of the bandits' latest holdup, a new supermarket out on Slauson near the intersection of South Broadway. After interviewing the manager of the store and all available witnesses to the robbery, there wasn't much doubt about the identity of the suspect. The description and M.O. fitted perfectly with that of the 2 men who'd been staging the whirlwind campaign of market robberies throughout the south end of the city for the past 3 weeks. The approach and execution of the holdup was the same in every detail, even to the stolen car they'd used, which was found abandoned a short distance from the robbery scene. There was only one deviation, and it was the first break we'd had in the case since it started. A woman customer at the market, a Mrs. Thomas Swanson, saw the holdup man as he left the store and ran to the getaway car. She told us that the car door apparently stuck when he tried to pull it open, and that he took away the handkerchief which he'd held to his face in order to pull the door open with both hands. During those few seconds, she got a good look at him. After taking the crime report and making our preliminary investigation, we brought Mrs. Swanson downtown. We had her check through mug books of all recent parolees from the state penitentiary, all ex-convicts with robbery records. After a couple of hours of checking mug shots, she couldn't seem to make positive identification.
I'm very sorry, officer. It just gets a little confusing after a while looking at all these pictures. I did get a good look at the man's face. I just can't settle on one of these pictures, though.
Well, from what you did see of him, Mrs. Swanson, the lower part of the man's face especially, can you find a good likeness in any of these?
Well, yes, I can find good likenesses for some of his features, but none of them are all together in any one of these pictures here. Like the mouth and chin on this man here.
Yes, ma'am. Is that pretty close?
Almost exactly, I'd say. And then the nose on this one here, it's the very same.
Mm-hmm.
I just haven't seen any picture that fits them all together. You know what I mean, don't you?
Yes, ma'am, I understand. Now, these 5 pictures here that you picked out, you pretty much say that they incorporate all the features of the man that you saw getting that
That's
car?
right, officer. This man here, and this one, too.
Uh-huh.
I'd say the lower part of his face is exactly like that. The small mouth and mustache just like that, and his chin pointed like on this man.
And the upper part of his face, would you say it resembles these others here?
Yes. These 3 here, just the upper part. You see, around the eyes, the forehead. I'd say that was very close.
Mm-hmm.
Now, just put the 2 sets of pictures together, I think you'd have the man perfectly. Sorry, I can't be more helpful, as I say. Looking at all these books of pictures, it gets a little confusing.
Well, you've given us quite a bit of help, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Not at all. Is there anything else?
No, thank you. Not right now. We've got your address and telephone. We'll probably be contacting you in a day or 2. If you'd like to wait right here, we'll make arrangements to have one of the officers drive you back to your home.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Goodbye, ma'am. We'll be talking to you.
Okay, yes, bye.
What do you think, Joe? Well, it's more than we had yesterday. Her description's the best we've got on the guy so far. How about getting a composite picture made up from the mug shots you picked out? Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You want to duck in and get somebody to drive Miss Swanson home? I want to go in here in the captain's office.
Yeah, okay.
Thanks, man.
Friday, how'd you make that?
Well, could have been worse, Captain.
Woman find anything in the mug books?
No positive identification. She picked out 5 of them she thought were close. I think maybe Putoff over at the crime lab ought to be able to make up a pretty good composite from them.
Mm-hmm. She's fairly positive about the man's description?
Yeah, seems to have a clear idea. Good composite ought to help us quite a bit.
You get this new description of that mimeograph you're having made up?
No, not yet. I'm going to see Frank about it in a minute.
Hi, Skipper.
Ben?
Got a hold of Jeff Gonzalez, Joe. He's going to drive me to Swanson home.
Fine. Did you ask him if he checked on that last run we made through the staff's office?
Yeah, he picked it up. He and Frank Estrada are going to start checking the names this morning. It's not much of a list. Been pretty well picked over already.
So all you got from the witnesses out there this morning? Description from this Mrs. Swanson?
Yeah, that's about it. The rest of it was their usual M.O. Swanson woman was the only one who got a good look at the guy when he took the handkerchief away from his face.
How about the getaway car they found?
Same as the others. Leighton Prince checked it over. It's clean.
Well, two thieves are dead sure. Look, when do we get ours?
How about Metro Division, Captain? Can we get any help out there?
What do you got in mind?
Well, we know the take that the two thieves got in that job this morning was pretty small for them, $340.
Yeah.
From their M.O. in the past, we know whenever they get a small take on a job, they usually hit another place fast. They work in a fairly concentrated area, down the south end. They only go after big markets on the main thoroughfares.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was thinking if we could get some help from Metro, put maybe 15 or 20 crews down in the area for the next couple of days, might stand a good chance of grabbing them.
We were talking to Dick Tiernan over at the sheriff's office, Skipper. He says he could put some of his men down that area, too. Cover the county on the fringes, the territory around there. What do you think?
All right, fine. If I can get Stevens at Metro right now, set it up. So you have about 20 crews, is that right?
Just about, yeah. With any kind of luck at all, we ought to land them.
Well, sure worth a try. Lieutenant Stevens, please. Yeah, Joe, this is Harry Didion. Fine. We got a little stakeout problem here. How about using some of your men? About 30. All right, I'll settle for 25. Yeah, south end of town. Those market bandits. Fine. Would you have them report here at robbery, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning? Fine. Thanks a lot. It's all set. You got 25 men, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Okay, Skipper.
We'll give you a dozen teams to start with, and Gonzalez and Estrada are one more. How many you figure working from the sheriff's office?
Oh, about 4 or 5 teams, I imagine.
All right, it's your operation. You two will be in charge on our end. You run the show, you brief the men. If you need anything, call me.
Right.
How about the overall plan, Skipper? You got any special ideas on it?
Just one.
Yeah?
Get them.
1:18 p.m. We got the revised description of one of the hold-up men to Lieutenant Frank Cunningham at the Record Bureau. He told us 1,000 copies of the special mimeograph form containing all available information on the two market bandits would be ready for us that night. We met with Sergeant Cutoff, the artist at the crime lab, and he went to work making up a composite picture of one of the suspects from the mugshot selected by the robbery witness, Mrs. Swanson. When the picture was completed, we had Mrs. Swanson check it for similarity to the actual hold-up man, and then we brought it back to the Record Bureau, where 1,000 copies were made of it. The pictures, along with the mimeograph forms, were sent immediately to the Retail Grocers Association for distribution to all market operators throughout the city. Additional copies of the picture and the information sheet were given to each man who was to work the stakeout when we met in the squad room at 7 o'clock the next morning. Besides the men from Metropolitan Division and the men from Robbery who were going to work with us, Lieutenant Dick Tiernan and Sergeant Dave Carey from the sheriff's office were also there for the briefing.
Well, briefly, that's the rundown on the two suspects and the M.O. they follow. It's the same information and description on them you'll find in those memo forms we handed out. Joe, you want to take over and give them their assignment?
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll just take a look at this pin-up map here for a minute. I'll try and brief you on how the stakeout's going to go. The way we got it figured, anyway. Well, we've worked out a plan we think ought to be the easiest and the best way to work it. If any of you have any suggestions as we go along, we'd sure like to have them. All right, now, as you can see from the map here, the stakeout area is in the south end. It runs from, can you all see it from there?
Yeah.
Okay. It runs from Santa Fe Avenue over here on the east to Vermont Avenue on the west, running north and south. Now, we'll have to cover from Santa Barbara Avenue on the north down to Manchester. That'll be the southern boundary right there. That's the area the thieves have been working. And we're going to have 14 of our own crews covering that area, and Dick Tiernan and Dave Carey from the sheriff's office will have their men covering adjoining county territory. Now, we've broken the map down into equal units, as you can see here. Each unit will be covered by one car, and each of you will be assigned a unit number. Romero and myself will be in 80K. We'll have a roving unit. We'll cover the entire area. You'll have three-way radios in your car, so you'll be able to contact us directly if you have to. Now, if you'll check the map again, you can see these green pins we've placed here. Well, each one of them represents a market robbery. Now, notice that every one of them is on a main thoroughfare. See? Manchester, South Broadway, Vernon, South Hoover. Now, I don't have to tell you that that's where you'll have to keep a sharp watch on the main street. Each of the individual units here on the map will be covered by one car, as I said. Each one roughly 9 blocks square. Now, you'll be responsible for the area assigned to you. We haven't got too much time, so before we go down the list to assign the areas, have you got any questions? Any questions at all?
Yeah. Suppose there's a 211 call in somebody else's area. I mean, other than the one you're assigned to. Do we leave our area and head over there?
No, Jeff, I meant to bring that up. If there's a robbery call in somebody else's area, stay put till you get a call to lend a hand. Anything else?
Yeah, how about the managers of these markets? They've been briefed on a stakeout. They know we're going to be covering the area.
Yeah, they've all been alerted. Now, in case of a holdup, they might try to contact you directly. They'll be looking for you. You'll be looking for them. Is that it, Bob? That covers for you?
Well, yeah, but I'm just wondering about this number 2 suspect, the one who drives the getaway car.
Yeah.
Well, it says here the dope sheet number 1 suspect carries a nickel-plated revolver. Now, how about number 2? He carry a gun?
Well, I wish I could answer that. We don't know. All the information we got on him is on the sheet right there.
I see. Well, they never try any rough stuff anyway, do they? No gunplay. They never hurt anyone.
No, not yet. Don't let them make you the first. 7:30 a.m. We finished handing out the assignments, and the men left to take up their stakeout positions in the south end of the city. 2 men to a team, each team in a 3-way radio car, each car to patrol a designated 9-square block unit. There were 20 such units within the frame of the overall stakeout area. At the same time, cruiser cars from the sheriff's office, operating on their own radio setup, began patrolling the fringe positions which fell in county territory. Through Control 1 at our communications division, we kept in continual contact with them. 8 a.m. All the cars were in position, each of them patrolling their individual 9-square block unit. The first 2 hours passed. No reports, no sign of the market bandit. Between 10 a.m. and noon, half a dozen possible suspects were stopped and questioned by different teams and then brought to the 77th Street Division for processing. All of them were eliminated. The afternoon of the first day went pretty much the same. We had shakedowns on 4 parked cars in the area and more shakedowns on possible suspects. Nothing materialized. The next morning, Ben and I, along with the other 32 men in the stakeout, picked up where we left off. Again, no sign of the suspects, no report. The morning of the third day, the stakeout detail met in the squad room as usual and then left to take up their regular assigned positions. 7:35 a.m.
How about it, Joe? You ready to go?
Yeah, just a minute. Okay, let's go. I'll get it.
Okay.
Robbery Friday. Yeah. Where? When was that? Yeah, right away. Oh, come on, we gotta hurry.
What is it?
Market bandits. Maybe we got them. 7:50 a.m. Ben and I arrived at the intersection of 58th and San Pedro Street. 2 of our stakeout cruiser cars were pulled up at the southwest corner. One of the teams was Jess Gonzalez and his partner, Frank Estrada. Gonzalez briefed us on what had happened.
Victim's the owner of the supermarket down the block in San Pedro. He was walking from his house to the store, and he passed the corner here about 7:35 a.m. Had $340 on him. Part of yesterday's receipts from the store. They got him right up the street there, took every dollar of it.
You sure it was a market bandit?
An M.O. description, they check out all the way. We had 2 teams on as soon as we got the word. Located a holdup car a minute ago.
Where is it?
Down on Avalon Boulevard.
Well, how about the thieves, Jeff?
Car was empty, no trace of him.
It's a very good aerobic exercise to play John Adams' music.
David Howard, clarinetist, Los Angeles Philharmonic.
His music is all about locomotion. He uses the orchestra as a machine, in the best sense. And we are little pistons in this engine. But boy, when all those pistons are working right, it's quite an effect.
Join David and the entire Los Angeles Philharmonic for an electrifying concert experience as composer John Adams conducts 2 of his own works, the Nixon Tapes and Century Rolls, featuring celebrated pianist Emanuel Axe. 3 performances beginning February 2nd. Tickets start at just $10 and are available at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion box office, online at laphil.org, or call Ticketmaster today at 213-365-3500. Los Angeles Philharmonic.
This is music that you can measure in megawatts. We've got a musical answer to the energy crisis coming with this concert.
It's been said one is a lonely number. So the 2 Paradise Chevrolet superstores, Paradise Chevrolet Temecula and Paradise Chevrolet Ventura, have come together with what else but 2 great offers to close out January. Now you can lease a 2001 extended cab Silverado D truck at a great lease of only $199 plus tax per month. Or lease a 2001 Chevy Tahoe at an equally great lease deal of only $299 plus tax per month from Paradise Chevrolet Ventura and Paradise Chevrolet Temecula. That's $199 plus tax per month lease on an extended cab 2001 automatic Silverado model with loads of Vortec V8 power and air, or $299 plus tax per month lease on a 2001 Tahoe LS with all the bells and whistles. The Paradise 1-800-281-4412 for Paradise Chevrolet Temecula. 800-281-4412. For Paradise Chevrolet Ventura, it's 1-888-5-CHEVY-5. 888-5-CHEVY-5. Ventura Auto Center, Temecula Auto Mall.
36-month Silverado lease with $6,200 down and 36-month Tahoe lease with $7,000 down. Both leases on approval of credit. 12K allowable miles per year, 20 cents for each excess mile. Chevy will be there.
Only need to know. KIBM News Radio.
Saturday, 8:05 a.m. The latest victim of the market bandits, the owner of the supermarket on San Pedro Street, was taken to the 77th Street Division where the crime report was made. He told us that one of the men who robbed him bore a very close resemblance to the composite picture which we'd had drawn up of one of the suspects. We figured we missed grabbing the hold-up men by a matter of minutes. Even though some of our units were in the general area at the time of the robbery, it did little good. The victim had delayed reporting the holdup for a full 5 minutes because the bandits had threatened to find him and kill him if he did. Despite the fact that they'd changed their M.O. to the extent of robbing the store owner on the street instead of in the market proper, we had no doubt that the same two men we were looking for had committed the holdup. The abandoned car which they'd used in the robbery was gone over for fingerprints, but it was clean. Meantime, the stakeout went on. Saturday passed. Sunday, Monday, nothing. No leads on the suspects, not a trace of them. Tuesday, the same thing all over again. The operation settled down to a dull routine. Tuesday night, we checked the closing of the last market in our stakeout area. 10:45 p.m. Ben and I drove back to the 77th Street Division.
Every day seems to get a little longer. These lousy stakeouts sure don't wear very well on them.
Yeah, I don't know what the staff's going to be if we don't get a break pretty soon. We can't hang on to the gang for Metro Division forever.
Sure has been a bad month. All I need now is a visit from the in-laws. Yeah. That'd do it up fine.
You talked to Jess at dinner, didn't you?
Yeah.
What did he say about those two men they picked up on South Main this afternoon?
They brought them in for processing, checked them out, couldn't find anything wrong. Both of them clean.
Mm-hmm. Fine.
Yeah. How about grabbing something to eat after we check out?
Okay. You want to stop by Johnny Copen's?
What about a French dip sandwich? How's that sound? Haven't had one for a long time.
All right, suits me.
How was that? Oh, sorry, I know. Oh, wait a minute. It just came in. It's for you, Friday. Turn in from the sheriff's office.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Bob. Friday talking. Yeah, Dick. Just now? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll be over right away.
I got anything?
Market bandits pulled a hold-up a couple of minutes ago in a store on Graham Avenue, Dalton County territory.
Yeah?
One of the sheriff's units took the call, chased the hold-up car 2 miles.
They get the thieves?
Well, you're half right.
Huh?
They got one of them. 10:52 p.m. Ben and I drove to the sheriff's Firestone substation where the market bandit suspect was taken after his apprehension. When we got there, we talked to Deputy Sheriff Sergeant Eddie Jones and Mel Viney, who had made the arrest. They said they arrived at the scene of the holdup, the market on Graham Avenue, a few moments after the bandits pulled away in their stolen Nash sedan. Jones and Viney gave chase, but when they finally forced the holdup car to a halt, the driver was the only one in the car. Somewhere along the route of the 2-mile chase, the second robbery suspect had succeeded in jumping out, along with the loot taken in the robbery and making good his escape. A broadcast in the bulletin was gotten out immediately. The holdup suspect they'd apprehended had been fingerprinted, and they were checking on his identification downtown. Ben and I went in to talk to him. Jones and Viney stood by while we questioned him.
I still don't know what it's all about. The property clerk will give you an itemized receipt for everything you have on you. Take everything out of your wallet now. Put it out in there.
You're making a pretty big thing out of nothing, aren't you? I haven't done anything.
You want to check those things from his wallet, Ben? The cards and some of those papers?
Yeah.
This your true name on this card here? Grant B. Jameson, is that right?
That's right.
This your present address?
Yeah.
You ever been arrested before?
Why you ask that?
It's not going to take too much time to find out. You might as well tell us.
We still don't know what this is all about. I was speeding a little, that's all. I haven't done anything.
No, you're kidding yourself, Jameson. We got everything on you that we need. What do you think you're going to gain by stalling us?
You must have me mixed up with somebody else. I don't know what you're getting at.
This card here you took out of your wallet, you recognize it?
Why?
These names and addresses you've got jotted down on the back of it. Mind checking them out for?
I don't know what you mean.
Take a look. These here. Whose addresses are they? Who are the people?
Let's see. No, I don't think I even remember. Just something I scribbled down, that's all.
You don't even remember one of them?
No, I don't think so. Why do you ask?
Why don't you come off it, mister?
What are you talking about?
You know what we're talking about. You know it as well as you know your own name. 14 robberies down here in 28 days. You're picked up in the hold-up car after the last try tonight. Your partner gets away. Now, you go right on kidding yourself, Jameson. Play it real close. You see how far it gets you.
I sure wish I knew what you were talking about. I don't know a thing about any robberies.
All right, then you stand by, mister. You're going to know a lot more about him. You're going to know a lot in a hurry.
Yeah?
Just as soon as we pick up your partner. 12:20 a.m. We continued to question the suspect, Grant Jameson, but he refused to admit anything, even the fact that he'd stolen the car that he'd been apprehended in. The only strong lead we could pick out from the articles found on his person was the list of 4 names and addresses jotted on the back of a card found in his wallet. 12:30 a.m. Ben and I left the substation and drove to the address Jameson had told us was his present residence, an apartment house on Vernon Avenue. The manager told us he'd moved at least a year ago without leaving a forwarding address. 1 a.m., we began checking out the list of 4 names and addresses which we'd found in the suspect's wallet. The first was a Jack Williams. His address, a Spring Street rooming house. The landlady told us he'd moved to Cleveland, Ohio 3 months before. The second was a John Gallagher. His address, a third-rate hotel in East Hollywood. He hadn't been registered there in the past 2 months. The third was a Matthew Sanford. His address turned out to be an apartment house in the Crenshaw district.
Want a price to light on the mailboxes over here, Joe?
Yeah. Here you go. You see the name there?
Yeah, here it is. M.L. Sanford. That ought to be apartment 5.
All right. Let's try it. Front door open?
Thanks. Yeah, let's go. Number 5. Should be down this way, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Number 5.
Okay, let's give it a try. Grant, is that you?
Police officers. You, Matthew Sanford?
Get out of here. All right, hit it, Ben. All right, come on. Put the gun down. Drop it.
I got it, Joe. All right, get your hands out.
I'll cover him. Look around, huh?
All right.
What is this anyway? What's the idea? You tell us. You pulled the gun. You got no business in here. You got no right. All right, you just stand still. We'll explain it downtown.
Money sacks, Joe. Found them in the desk. Same market they hit tonight.
All right, Sanford. You got nothing from me. I don't know what you're talking about. Get his coat, will you, Ben?
Yeah, all right.
What are you trying to build, anyway? You haven't got anything on me? 14 robberies, mister. That's what we got on you. You think you got proof? We got it. Yeah? 14 victims. Come on, let's go.
The story you have just heard was the name of the innocent.
The bandit suspects, Grant Burton Jameson and Matthew Roy Sanford, were tried and convicted on 14 counts of first-degree robbery and received sentences as prescribed by law. First-degree robbery is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary from 5 years to life. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Ladies and gentlemen, the American Broadcasting Company brings to its entire network one of radio's most unusual programs. Pat Novak For Hire.
I'm Pat Novak For Hire.
That's what the sign out in front of my office says. Pat Foghorn for hire. Oh, there are other ways to say it, but down on the waterfront in San Francisco, you got to put your best foot forward, especially if you want to trip up a friend. Down here, a friend is anybody who's been dead more than 10 years. And then it pays to watch out, because if you relax, somebody will come along and knock you on the back of your stomach. Works out all right, though. I rent boats and do anything else, you can hide in the dark. It's about all you can ask, because along the Embarcadero, nothing's perfect except the heels. I found that out Wednesday afternoon. She was a lovely girl, the sort of person you'd expect to see in a choir loft, about 3 hours after choir practice. Her hair was red, her eyes were as cold as rigor mortis, and you knew the first time you met her that you'd been seeing her too often. Must have been about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I was walking down toward Pier 19 when she pulled up alongside of me in a cream convertible.
Can I give you a lift?
You already have.
Well, is that love or reflex action?
What's on your mind?
You are Mr. Novak, but don't put on your tracksuit. It's a business matter.
Well, in that case, you've got a name.
I'm Con Regan. I went by your office a few minutes ago, but you were out.
I'm in now. Go ahead.
It won't take me long, Mr. Novak. Stay away from Rory Malone.
Well, I'm doing all right so far. Who is he?
He's important to me. I don't want to lose him, Mr. Novak, so please stay away.
Go tell a girl. I don't even know the guy.
You will, if you're not lying now. He's a prize fighter, and someone's going to try and hurt him.
And you'd rather hurt him first.
I'm willing to pay you to stay away from him.
Suppose I'm going to see him a lot. Will you pay a lot?
I'll give you $300. All right, Mr. Novak?
You know, you're not smart, Angel. If you're pressing that hard, the other team's going to bid, too. The answer's no.
I'm afraid that's up to you. But I'm warning you, don't do it. Please don't do it.
Yeah, that's what Mother used to say. I'm still all right.
Maybe Mother liked you better, Mr. Novak. See you later.
Well, I watched her for a minute as she brushed her hair back and started the car. It was nice hair, and the dress helped, too. It was dark blue and had a V-neck, but the designer believed in big letters. She pulled away and gave me a look you could take on a safari. It was enough to tell me that she was as safe as a tap dancer on a floor full of dynamite caps. I walked up and turned in at Pier 19. When I reached the door of the office, I could see the old man sitting by the desk. He looked tired and a year older than the Bible. His hands were shaking and his skin was coarse and the color of an old razor strap. When I walked in, he glanced up at me and looked about as happy as a cocker spaniel with a stomachache.
I could talk to you, please, Mr. Novak.
You'll try it once. Go ahead.
I'm an old man.
You want to argue or go on?
I'm too old, so I must come to someone for help. My name is Hans Newmeyer. I would like you to watch someone for me.
Someone like Rory Malone?
Yeah. But you do not
What
know
is this, Save Rory Malone Week? What's he to you?
I am his manager. Oh, you don't ever hear of me because I'm old and not a very good manager, I guess. After this fight, Rory find new manager, maybe.
Yeah? When's this fight?
Tonight. Oh, you don't know Rory. He's a good boy. He's a very good boy, Rory is.
Yeah, well, good boys don't need watching. Has he got some bad coming out?
Something funny about this fight. He meets with bad people. And Rory is a good boy.
Yeah, I just met one. How deep do they run?
The West is a fellow named Joe Slagle. He's a bad man, a gambler. Please, Mr. Novak, you just watch Rory tonight and see he's all right.
Are you that rich?
Oh, please, I don't have much money. Just $300, maybe, what I got from the fight. Maybe 300, I don't know. I just got a little money.
It's a tie, Pop. You win the toss.
Please, you don't help me.
You win, Pop. When do I look at him?
Tonight you come before the fight. In the dressing room, I'll show you to Rory, and you see he's all right.
Yeah, about 9.
Yeah, please, Mr. Novak. I thank you all my life. You watch Rory. I thank you all my life.
Yeah, well, I'm getting short shift on that, but I suppose it's not your fault, Pop. See you at 9. Well, I felt sorry for him when he turned and walked out of there. I could afford it. With $300, you can buy a lot of crying towels. At the door, he turned and smiled once before he shuffled out. He moved down the pier with a nervous, uncertain motion like a flower petal in a warm wind. When he disappeared, I took a cab and rode up to the press club. Oh, I found out a lot about Rory Malone, and most of it was good. He was a lightweight, and Hans Newmeyer had picked him up and brought him through the prelims up to main event stuff. He was fighting tonight against a Cleveland boy named George Zarek, and the betting was even. I ran into a Chronicle man whose wife divorced him and named a fight club as correspondent, and he said not to worry about Joe Slagle, that Rory Malone fought for purses, and that's all. He knew about the girl, Con Regan, but he didn't want to say much, just that she was a fast 5-gated horse trying for 7. Well, I had some dinner, and I went over to the arena about 8:30. When I walked into Rory Malone's dressing room, Hans Newmeyer wasn't anywhere around. I stood over in a corner and watched him get ready for the fight. There was enough liniment being thrown around to keep an old lady's home spry for years. The other handlers were in, watching him tape up Malone and put on the gloves. Most of the people cleared out then. Malone shadowboxed a minute before a second threw a robe around his shoulders and shoved him toward the door. As he passed, I fell in beside him, and we started walking under the arena. A few feet down, I bumped up against him.
Huh? Sorry?
About what, Hans Newmeyer?
Who are you?
Where's Newmeyer?
What do you care?
My name's Novak. I'm supposed to meet him here. Do you know where he is?
No, he didn't show up. He's probably out drunk.
Does he drink?
No.
Well, that's a funny answer.
I don't know where he is. All I know is I need him tonight. I got to get up to the ring.
I'll go with you.
Suit yourself.
You gonna win tonight?
You never know.
Sometimes you do.
Mister, you're either too smart or too dumb.
What's the difference? You can't fight twice in one night.
I want to talk to you, Rory.
Not now, Kitty. After the fight.
Please, Rory, talk to me now.
Kitty, you're crazy. This guy's standing around, a lot of other people. What do you want to do? Put it on the radio?
Where's Hans? He hasn't been around. Where is he, Rory?
I don't know, Kitty. If I knew, I'd get him.
There's something wrong, Rory. I've been watching. I know there's something wrong about this fight.
Yeah. There's only going to be one guy fighting if you don't let me out.
Please, Rory, don't brush me off like a dumb fly. I know there's something wrong. I don't want you to get into trouble.
All right, Kitty.
Oh, don't say all right when you know how I feel. Oh, let's talk about you and Joe Slagle. Oh, please, Rory. You don't know what it's like to see somebody you love go crazy.
Your dough is safe, Kitty.
That doesn't count. You know that doesn't count, Rory. The little money I've saved doesn't count next to you. Oh, please, Rory, don't do anything wrong. I'd die. I'd die of terrible heartbreak. It hurt me all my life.
Stop it, will you, Kitty? Now stop crying. Don't worry, I'll win.
Just don't let anything happen, Rory.
I won't. I'll see you after the fight. Coming, Novak?
Yeah. You're real good with your women, Malone.
After this fight, I want a match with you, Novak.
I've met 2 of them, and they both have you in their dream books right on the flyleaf.
I'll remember. Talk some more.
I'll talk enough to tell you that you're being followed about 12 inches behind.
That's right, Malone. Keep walking. Turn in the next door.
Hey, wait a minute.
You better walk, Malone, unless you can outrun a bullet.
You too, mister.
I agreed an hour ago.
All right. Open the door for him, Eddie.
Okay.
You stand over here. Now, Malone, take off your glove.
I'm going to need it.
You're going to be eating teeth. Take off your glove. Help him, Eddie. Yeah. That's it. Hold him on the other side, Steve. Put his hand on the table, Eddie. Now, give me the block. Yeah. You can cry, Malone. It's going to hurt. Hold him up. Keep his hand out there, Eddie. Put the glove back on, Malone.
It's too smashed up.
It'll hold the pieces. Put it on.
You better put it on, Malone. You're overmatched.
That's it. Now go on up there and look good.
Yeah, why don't you loan him the gun and he'll win in 2 rounds.
Look, mister, I don't know who you are, but I'm sick of your mouth. It's a big floor, so stretch out.
During the next 2 hours, they either moved me or the arena because I woke up in an alley down near the Golden Gate Theater. It was in back of a restaurant, and I was lying there trying to look good in a mixed green salad. My head was about the size of a diving bell, and my clothes were so rumpled and dirty I looked like a leg man for the Hobo News. I tried to get to my feet once, but it wasn't easy. It was like trying to push a basketball through a stovepipe. I think it was close to 11 when I got out to the street. I didn't even buy a paper to find out about the fight. I grabbed a cab and went up to my apartment, ironing out my spine. It was a good idea, but the girl at the desk had a message from Hans Newmeyer. He was out at the California General Hospital, and he wanted to see me right away. When I got there, he was at the end of a ward on the 3rd floor, but the duty nurse wouldn't let me by. Oh, she was a real pretty nurse, if you like pure mammal. Somebody buzzed, and when she oozed down the hall, I ducked into the ward and started looking for Hans Newmeyer. It was dark, and he was away down at the end behind a white screen. He looked tired, and his eyes were moist and soft, like a ripe fruit that's just been squeezed too hard.
Please, Mr. Novak, you come to see me.
Yeah, just as soon as I got your message.
You make mistake with Hans. I don't send message.
Somebody wants to be your secretary. What happened to you?
In my room. I just go to my room. Somebody is there. I don't know. Rory is all right?
I limped a little, mister. Your boy got his hand smashed.
Rory is a good boy.
He's got a good girl. Who's Kitty?
She's go with Rory a long time. Save money to marry with.
Wait a minute. Keep still.
Something the matter?
Yeah. Somebody coming. Down this way. Coming up behind that curtain.
Maybe Rory comes to visit me.
Whoever came to visit him didn't stay long. The old man leaned back in the bed and quit without any fanfare, like a long summer coming to an end. Well, I went out to get the nurse, and I found her down at the end of the hall giving an intern some greedy talk. She hadn't heard the shots, and they hadn't seen anybody come out of the ward. I told her as much as I could, and then she wheeled the old man into another room and called homicide. Well, that call to homicide didn't help, because from now on, things weren't going to improve. I was fighting a forest fire with a can of kerosene. About 20 minutes later, Inspector Hellman showed up. He was full of finesse and fury, and he came charging over about as graceful as a lame lobster.
Hello, Novak. You're up late.
I had company most of the time.
Yeah? And did he bore you?
Somebody got tired of him. It happened behind a screen down there in the ward.
Who is he?
Guy by the name of Hans Newmeyer. He manages a fighter named Rory Malone.
Yeah?
The killing's mixed up with a fight fix.
Not the Zarek fight.
Yeah, that's right. They got to Rory Malone 10 minutes before ring time.
You got a thin story, Novak.
Look, I got a fat one. And I got all the gambling going town on my side. The old man got it because Rory Malone was dumped in that fight.
I don't believe it.
You don't have to believe it, Hellman. They smashed him up. His right hand was as limp as an old piece of lettuce when he climbed into that ring.
They should have smashed both hands.
Huh?
Because Rory Malone won by a knockout in the 5th round. Try another page, Novak.
When Hellman told me Rory Malone won that fight, I might as well have handed him a feather. I stood there feeling like a guy peddling dope at his sister's wedding. How could Rory Malone have won that fight without a hand grenade? When I saw the hand, it wasn't strong enough to flatten a piece of silk on an ivory table, and yet he won by a knockout in the 5th round. Well, it pointed to one thing. Zarek had taken a dive. But why the double fix? Why had they smashed Rory's hand? Oh, it was a goofy pitch, like sending for a plumber to fix a hole in Boulder Dam. I didn't have time to wrestle around with it because Hellman had talk on his mind.
You can't get a bookie in town to take bets on this one, Novak.
No, not with you setting the odds.
They were that way when I got here, so don't write up a clean bill of health. The guy's dead and nobody else is volunteering.
Oh, you'd muff a confession anyway. Before you tumbled, they'd have to cut it in stone across the front of City Hall.
What were you doing with the old man?
Helping him over the rough spots.
Or taking him over the hurdles?
He hired me to watch Rory Malone. They were stepping up the pace on his boy.
For instance?
For instance, Joe Slagle. Everybody says he had a stake in the fight.
You don't throw a fight by winning in the 5th round.
That's what the book says, but sometimes the book's wrong. You better look up Joe Slagle, and on the same trip you can stop by and see a gal named Con Regan.
Yeah? Why?
She's Malone's new sparring partner, a tall redhead with lots of dry cells.
Oh. She sounds nice. I'll talk to her. And Slagle, too. But I'm going to find out about you and Rory Malone first. I'm going to run down the stuff on this fight, and I'll find out where you fit in. Don't worry, Novak. I'll dig you out.
You couldn't take the jelly out of an omelet, Hellman. Look up the girl and Joe Slagle. They'll talk.
Not about each other.
There's some connection there. I'll give even money they're friends.
They ought to be.
What?
They were married a month ago in Las Vegas. Or don't you know about love?
Hellman stood there a moment and smiled like a guy who's just killed a landlord. And then he turned around and walked out. Well, I stayed until they wrapped up the old man. And after that, I went to the Chronicle office and pulled the clips on Joe Slagle. He'd been to 3 jails and gotten his master's at Alcatraz, and there were some pictures of him at the racetrack. He had a face any museum would buy and a forehead that was so low he must have had to look down to see his hairline. There was one other thing about him I noticed. He was the same guy who'd smashed Rory Malone's hand. I began to wonder about that friendship, but it was getting late and I had to work fast, so I looked up the only honest guy I know, an ex-doctor and a boozer by the name of Jocko Madigan. Well, he's a smart guy until he decided a head on your beer is worth more than a head on your shoulders. I finally found him in a little joint down on Geary Street talking some woman into giving up all men under 50.
Ah, Patsy. I've missed you in a rather trivial way.
Yeah, all right, Jocko.
I'm giving this woman a lecture on diminishing returns.
Jocko, will you stop drinking long enough to listen?
Patsy, you fail to understand my drinking. Actually, I hate whiskey, but I go on drinking as a sort of sop to Providence.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows the guardian angels take care of small children and tipplers, and since I've passed the age where I look well in rompers, this is a very clever dodge to get a little outside help.
Jocko, are you ever going to change?
Patsy, don't you know what a burden change is to a man as old as I am?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's not the change we mind, it's the way it happens, by degrees, never giving you a chance to remember anything else, so it's heartbreaking, Patsy.
All right.
It's like visiting a half-forgotten neighborhood. It hasn't changed completely, just parts of it. A few old houses and some human remnants is still around, enough to remind you of the change, but never enough to make you happy. It's that way with growing old.
Will you listen?
They don't allow you to grow old suddenly and leave. They insist on this policy of having you dribble off into eternity. It's undignified, Patsy, feeling like a bowl of old dishwater with the stopper pulled out.
Jocko, I want to talk to you.
Oh, why didn't you say so? What's the matter?
An old guy by the name of Hans Newmeyer is dead.
Oh, bless him.
Homicide's full of fever. They think I killed the old man.
What did he do before he stopped doing it?
A fight manager. He hired me to watch his fighter, Rory Malone. He should have hired a team because somebody got to him in the hospital tonight.
How do you fit in?
Well, I was just passing through when the noise started.
That was General Custer's problem.
It's tied up with tonight's fight. Newmeyer was afraid of a gambler named Joe Slagle. He was around tonight and smashed Malone's hand before ring time.
That's a hard way to lose.
Yeah, well, it's a harder way to win. Malone won by a knockout in the 5th.
Was he fighting his father?
I'm not getting any place, Jocko, and I'm doing it in a hurry. It's a bad fit all the way around. They took 2 tries to get the old man, and if Slagle bought the fight, why'd he smash Malone's hand?
Let's have a drink.
Jocko, you got to help me.
Oh, it's the thirst that's confusing.
I want you to get up to Rory Malone's place. You can find it in the book. Go through his stuff and try to pick up a lead, will you?
Why don't you do it?
I'm going to look up a girlfriend named Con Regan. She's married to Slagle, but she's trying to work Malone into the act.
Oh, well, in that case, I'd be in the way.
Look, I'm in a spot, Jocko. Now get up to that apartment, will you?
What if Malone walks in and finds me going through his stuff?
Stop worrying.
Well, he almost killed a man with one broken hand. Suppose someone smashed the other one.
Well, I had to do something quick because the kettle was on to boil. By the time Hellman got to him, Slagle would have an alibi, and my story about the smashed hand wouldn't prove a thing. Oh, I had to grope around and pretend like a guy on the second verse of the national anthem. I decided to tag by Slagle's place, and on the way I bought a paper to read about the fight. Malone looked real bad for 4 rounds and then came out of the woods fast with a left hand in the 5th. It was about midnight when I got to Slagle's apartment, and began to look more and more like it when Con Regan opened the door. Oh, I could see Rory's point. She was the sort of a woman you'd never give a second look, because the first would paralyze you. Her red hair looked brighter now, and, well, legs like that are the reason silkworms are born. She smiled, and you knew if you never made Naples, you could die happy with her. Well, I guess she picked her friends.
It's too late for the 300 now, Mr. Novak.
I'm working free. Invite me in, huh?
Sorry, darling.
You look lonely. Where's Slagle?
I agreed to marry him, not follow him.
How about Malone? Somebody killed his manager.
I'd like to help you, Mr. Novak, but I don't like you well enough.
Well, you can make love later. Give me answers now. Where you going?
You're not welcome.
I want to know what those bags are packed for.
I don't trust the drawers. Now get out of here, Mr. Novak.
Calm down and put the gun away.
Get out of here. You came uninvited. I'll kill you the same way.
Hello, Novak. You gonna lose an argument?
Well, it looks that way. If she's yours, call her off, Malone.
You're too tough, Con. Let him walk out.
He's steamed in here full of questions.
That's a bad way to answer. Relax.
That's what your man Newmeyer's doing. Somebody killed him tonight.
I know that, Novak.
Your eyes aren't very red.
I can't help it, Novak. All I can do is square his beef.
Well, you can start with your girlfriend. She's leaving town, or did you buy the tickets?
Let you hurry, Con.
If I want to leave, I can leave, Rory.
I'll argue with you.
You'll get the short end, Rory, because I'm leaving. Stay away from me.
You're too close.
Rory, stop it. Someday they'll met you even, Rory.
Maybe it's a referee. I'll get it. Yeah.
You got a deep voice, Miss Regan.
What's on your mind, Hellman?
Joe Slagle right now. He cleaned up in tonight's fight.
Not with a betting even.
Wasn't after the first round. Word got out that Malone broke his hand. The betting changed.
And Slagle covered every bet in the house.
That's right.
And the old man tumbled before it happened. That's what he was afraid of.
And the shot killed him?
Slagle did. You got a motive now, Hellman. You better look him up.
We did. He's dead.
He couldn't be dead.
If he's not, the bullet holes are good fakes. See you soon, Novak.
Well, I didn't talk to the girl and Rory because I knew they'd dummy up on me and I had nothing to go on. Oh, it was like trying to build a wall out of jelly consomme. Nothing added up now. Whose side was Rory on, and where did that other girl, Kitty, fit in? My luck was on the black market tonight, and I knew it. So I went by my place to check with Jocko. He was in the kitchen, and he looked worried.
Ah, Patsy. I was going to break open the thermometer until I found this bottle in the closet.
All right, Jocko. What'd you find out?
That it pays to know Joe Slagle. There's a $20,000 check in Malone's desk. Slagle signed it.
He could afford it. Somebody killed him an hour ago.
Where was Malone?
I don't know, but that's not gratitude.
Well, maybe he'll wire regrets. You'd better get up there. All his stuff's packed for a long trip.
Well.
A couple of trunks and all his bags. Does that sound like a weekend party?
I don't know, Jocko. He's kind of fancy. Maybe he likes a lot of laundry. Up to now, it was like trying to melt a pound of diamonds, but when the turn comes, everything happens in a hurry, and things began to fall faster than snow off a warm roof. If Jocko was right, it meant Rory and the girl fought, but they did a lot of clinching between rounds. Well, I got a hold of Hellman and brought him up to date, and then I started for Rory Malone's apartment. When I got there, Hellman was outside the door listening, as quiet as a washing machine full of pebbles.
They must be in the back room. I can't hear a thing.
You couldn't hear a rifle shot in a boxcar, Hellman. Let's get a better view, huh?
Hello, Novak.
Gonna miss your train, Malone.
I don't believe you.
It's a chance to bet, Mr. Novak.
This is Inspector Hellman from Homicide.
Well, you guessed wrong, Inspector. I'm covered for Joe Slagle. Novak here's alibi for Miss Regan.
We can check.
You're scraping bottom, mister.
We can start with that $20,000 check from Joe Slagle.
That's where you'll stop, too. That $20,000 covered a sale of my contract. The fight commission can beef, but that's all. You ready, Con?
I hope you are, too, because you're going downtown.
Look, fella, you'll make us miss a train, but we'll catch the next one.
You're wishing now, Rory.
Who's this?
A fast friend with a slow burn. Hello, Kitty. Your boyfriend's going to leave. Say goodbye.
Please, Rory, you're crazy to go with her.
She makes me that way, Kitty. I'm sorry.
Rory, I've done too much for you. I've kept loving you all this time. You can't leave. You can't leave now. I don't want to be alone.
Buy a dog.
Oh, no, Rory. No, I won't let you go.
You're too good with guns. Drop it. You better take her, Hellman. She's anxious.
Oh, please, Rory. I loved you too much for this. I loved you enough to kill somebody. You can't leave, Rory. You can't leave me to myself.
When the guy comes, tell him where the baggage is.
What'll become of you, Rory Malone? What'll become of you, Rory Malone, when you have to think about me? When you hear the sound of me in your head? Oh, you're brave, Rory. You're brave to leave me alone.
Come on, Con. In a place like this, we're wasting you.
Come back! Come back, Rory Malone! Come back long enough to watch them laugh at me!
doesn't prove much, except the right kind of a heel can grind you into the dirt fast. Well, Hellman pieced most of the story together. Slagle and Malone planned the fight, and it went off without a hitch. Slagle bought off the other fighter so that Malone could win as soon as the bets had been covered. Hans Newmeyer had an idea, but he liked Rory too much to believe it. They found out he was coming to me, and Con Regan tried to scare me off. She looked too good to Rory, and the scheme started to grow. He lied to Slagle after the fight about Newmeyer, so Slagle went into the hospital and killed the old man. That left Slagle around to cloud things up, so Rory Malone told a phony story to his girlfriend, Kitty. She loved him enough to kill Slagle. There was no way to stick Rory Malone. He could never fight again with that hand. But he had a check for $20,000 to start on, and that's enough to keep love in the living room. Well, Hellman asked only one question. Why would a smart gambler like Slagle take a chance on giving Malone a check for $20,000? I guess Malone found out when he tried to cash that check because Joe Slagle was big-hearted but broke.
The American Broadcasting Company has just brought you the 6th of a new series, Pat Novak For Hire, starring Jack Webb. Pat Novak is produced and directed by William P. Russo. Jocko Madigan is played by Judah Orone. Inspector Hellman is played by Raymond Burr. Music was composed and conducted by Basil Adlam. In our cast were Yvonne Pate, Stephen Schnabel, Frank Lovejoy, William Baeff, and Ted DeCorsia. This program is being released to our servicemen and women overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Be with us again next week when over most of these same ABC stations, we will bring you Pat Novak For Hire. This program came to you from Hollywood. Now, a listening reminder. Don't miss Jean Arthur and Robert Morley when they star in the compelling drama Yesterday's Magic on Theater Guild on the Air tonight. This is ABC, the American Broadcasting Company.
Ladies and gentlemen, tonight in Miami, Florida, a group of men are gathered together for their annual conference. For their day-in, day-out service to the public, Dragnet honors the 58th annual conference of the International Association of Chiefs of Police. The story you're about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to homicide detail. A wealthy retired businessman suddenly disappears. You've got two possibilities to work on: suspicion of suicide, suspicion of foul play. There's no lead to the man's whereabouts. Your job? Find him. The latest Fatima sales report shows thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
More and more smokers coast to coast are finding in Fatima the difference is quality.
You see, Fatima contains the finest domestic and Turkish tobaccos superbly blended. And Fatima is extra mild, with a much different, much better flavor and aroma.
You'll find Fatima gives you all the advantages of extra length, plus Fatima quality, which no other king-size cigarette has.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class, but the same price as the cigarette you're now smoking.
Next time, insist on the best. Buy king-size Fatima in the distinctive golden yellow package.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, You will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Wednesday, February 6th. It was cold in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of homicide detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Thad Brown, chief of detectives. My name's Freddie. I was on the way back from the record bureau, and it was 11:18 a.m. when I got to room 42. Homicide.
Joe?
Hi. She show up yet?
Yeah, a couple of minutes ago. She's waiting for us now in the next room.
Did you talk to her at all?
No. Seems to be a nice enough woman. I don't know how much help she's going to be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks.
Miss Banner, I'd like to have you meet my partner, Sergeant Friday. Joe, this is Miss Banner.
Hello. I'm sorry I wasn't home when you stopped by yesterday, Sergeant. I got the card you left, so I called in as soon as I got home.
Well, thanks for coming in, Miss Banner. We have a few questions we'd like to ask you. It won't take very long.
We have a communication from a Gladys Dillon back in New York, Miss Banner. It's about her brother, Chester Dillon. We understand you rented his home from him out on Ralston Avenue.
Mr. Dillon? Well, yes, I've got a 2-year lease on the house. I rented it from him last November.
Well, according to the letter we got from Mr. Dillon's sister, she's worried about him. She hasn't heard from him in some time. Have you any idea where we could contact him?
Well, the last I heard, he left on a trip to New York. That was about 8 weeks ago, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
You see, I usually sent the check for the rent, the apartment he had here, and when he left on his trip, he told me to hold on to the rent checks, and he'd collect them when he got back.
How long did he say he'd be gone?
I don't remember definitely. I think he said 4 or 5 months.
He didn't leave any forwarding address, any place you could contact him back east?
No, he didn't. He just wanted to get away. Didn't want to be bothered with anyone. He wasn't feeling very well. He was very depressed, poor man.
Well, why was that, ma'am? Do you know?
Well, his wife died just a few months ago, you know.
No, ma'am, we didn't know. All we got from his sister was that she hadn't heard from Dillon. She was worrying. She didn't give us any other information.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Dillon died in last September, I think it was. Poor man felt terrible about it. Couldn't seem to get over it. That's why he rented the house to me. Reminded him too much of her.
Yes, ma'am, I understand.
Lovely home they have. Mr. Dillon said he really didn't want to rent it, but he couldn't stand being alone in the house. It was a large place, you know.
Yes, ma'am. We checked with the people living in the house now. We understand you leased the place to them last month.
I subleased it, yes. You see, it just got too big for me. It was nice at first, but it got to be an awful lot of work. I rented it to this family and took a smaller house down the street.
Would you happen to know any of Mr. Dillon's friends in the city, Miss Banner? Anyone we could contact who might know where we can locate him?
No, I don't know. He didn't seem to have any friends. He and his wife had only been in the city a year before she died. He was retired, you know.
Yes, ma'am. We talked to some of the neighbors out there. They couldn't tell us much about him.
Maybe some of the people he did business with might know something. Have you tried the neighborhood bank out there? I know that's where Mr. Dillon had his account.
No, ma'am, we haven't yet.
Well, I can give you the bank's address. That's about all, though.
That's the only contact you know of?
I'm afraid so, yes. I didn't know much about Mr. Dillon's private affairs. Whenever I talked to him, it seemed the only thing he had on his mind was his wife's death. He couldn't seem to get over it. Seemed like he didn't want to get over it.
You mentioned that when you leased his home, Mr. Dillon took an apartment. Do you happen to have that address, Miss Banner?
Well, I don't have it with me now, but I have it at home. I can call in and give it to you if you like.
If you would, please.
Certainly.
Well, thank you very much, Miss Banner. You have our card. When you hear anything at all from Mr. Dillon, we'd appreciate it if you'd call us.
And surely I'll call you right away. You think something could have happened to him?
Well, it's possible. We don't know. All we have is a letter from his sister.
It does seem kind of strange, doesn't it? He wasn't feeling too well. I wondered why he hadn't contacted me about sending the rent money to him. He was such a nice man, Mr. Dillon. I certainly hope nothing's happened to him.
Well, you say he was very depressed about his wife's death, ma'am. Would you say that it was getting to be a little abnormal with him, maybe?
Well, I wouldn't know about that, Sergeant, but I didn't know he brooded about it all the time. He felt that he'd lost everything. Didn't seem to want to go on.
Mm-hmm. Did he ever give an indication that maybe he might take his own life? I mean, all this brooding over his wife?
Well, no, nothing definite. Just depressed and moody all the time. Oh, now that I remember it, the last time I saw him, he did say something kind of funny.
Yes, ma'am. What was that?
It was the day before he left. We were talking about the rent money, and I asked him if I couldn't send it to him. He got kind of a strange look on his face.
Yeah.
He said, where I'm going, I won't need the money.
The day before we called on Lucille Banner for an interview, a letter had been received from a Miss Gladys Dillon in Elmira, New York. Her request was routine. It was one of thousands of similar letters received every year by police departments all over the country. Each one of them has to be worked out to the satisfaction of all parties concerned, the person who's reported missing and the person looking for them. It's an enormous job requiring thousands of man-hours annually. Like the dozens of other investigations handled by the police officer, some of them end happily, some of them in tragedy. Whatever the result, the finding of a lost person is just as important a function of your local police department as any other investigation. Gladys Dillon hadn't heard from her brother recently. She was worried about him. She asked us to investigate.
Our initial interview with Lucille Banner, the woman who'd rented Chester Dillon's home, failed to yield much of a lead as to his whereabouts. The only source of additional information she could offer was the neighborhood bank where Dillon had his account. 1 o'clock that afternoon, Ben and I drove out to interview the manager of the bank, a Mr. Harrison.
Yes, that's right. Mr. Dillon's had his account with us ever since he came to Los Angeles. I know him quite well. Is there something you'd like to know about him?
Yes, sir, there is. We had a request from his sister in New York. She'd like to locate him.
Well, I'm pretty sure his account's still open here. Matter of fact, I'm positive it is. This moment, I'll have one of the clerks get his file.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harrison. Hey, that reminds me, I almost forgot.
Yeah, what's that?
I got to get to the bank tomorrow for sure. Payment on my car's a day past due already. Only got 2 payments left.
Oh, you're doing fine. I got another 8 months to go.
Not so fine. 2 more payments to go, and now the wife wants a new one. Never fails.
Yeah. Here we are, Sergeant, just as I thought. Mr. Dillon's account is still open.
Uh-huh. There been any recent deposits or withdrawals on the account?
Let's have a look here. Uh-huh. Just as I thought, nothing since he left on his trip. That last withdrawal date was November 27th.
He mentioned to you that he was going on a trip, did he?
Yes, I think he said he was going back to New York, more or less a vacation trip. His wife died recently. He didn't take it too well.
Yes, we understand. Did he leave any instructions about his account with you, Mr. Harrison? Any address you could contact him at if you had to?
No, he didn't leave any instructions with me. No address. Just a vacation trip. He said he didn't expect to be gone too long.
Did he mention how long it would be?
5 or 6 weeks, I think. That's what he said. I happened to talk to him about it because at the time he made quite a sizable withdrawal. I thought maybe he was a little unhappy with our service.
Mm-hmm. How much was the withdrawal, sir?
Let's see. And here it is, November 27th. He withdrew $2,400.
Was that in cash or in traveler's checks? Do you know that?
Mm-hmm. No, it shows here that it was in cash.
Mr. Harrison, you said a minute ago that you knew Mr. Dillon pretty well?
Yes, that's right. He used to stop and chat with me whenever he'd come in the bank. That was usually once a week. I didn't know him socially, though.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned he seemed to take his wife's death pretty hard. What would you say his mental condition was last time you saw him?
All right, I'd say. Just after his wife's death, he wasn't in very good shape. Brooded about it quite a bit. And he began to pull out of it. Seemed to be in a fairly good frame of mind. Planned this vacation. Was looking forward to it.
I see.
Why do you ask? Is something wrong?
No, sir, not that we know of. Routine check. That's about the size of it.
Does Dillon have any other real estate besides the house on Ralston Avenue? Would you happen to know that?
Not to my knowledge, no. He has no other business connections in Los Angeles. Here are all his references right here.
Mm-hmm.
See, most of them are charge accounts and so forth. I remember the time he opened his account with us, he told me he was retired. He and his wife came out here for their help.
Do they have any relatives out here? Do you know, Mr. Harrison?
No, from what I understand, both of their families are in the East. They don't have any children, according to his application. Very few relatives.
Mm-hmm. And since Dillon was in here last November to make that withdrawal, you've had no communications from him at all, is that right?
No, sir, I haven't. What seems to be the trouble? You have an idea something might be wrong?
Nothing definite, no, sir. We've been told about his feeling depressed over his wife's death, and there was some indication he might possibly have done away with himself. After what you've told us, it doesn't seem too likely.
I don't know. I wouldn't like to commit myself. As I say, he did seem to be getting over it. I didn't know him that well, though. It might be entirely possible. He was devoted to Mrs. Dillon. Maybe he could have taken his own life. I don't know.
Well, it leaves a big question to answer, doesn't it?
What's that?
Why do you need the $2,400 to do it? 1:25 p.m. We continued interviewing the bank manager, Mr. Harrison, but he was unable to come up with any further leads. Before we left the bank, he gave us a complete list of all of Chester Dillon's references. We gave him our card, and he told us he would pass along immediately any information he might get on the whereabouts of Mr. Dillon. 1:45. We went back to the office where we got a call from Lucille Banner. She gave us Dillon's last known address, and we drove out to check it. It was an apartment court in the Pico Crenshaw area. We talked to the manager, and she told us that Dillon had moved out 3 months before, on November 22nd. He told her that he was moving in with a close friend of his, and he gave her his forwarding address. It turned out to be a single-story frame cottage located in one of the older residential districts of the city. The name on the mailbox read Raymond L. Schaefer. We rang the bell, and a man who identified himself as Raymond Schaefer ushered us into a small living room. He told us that he was from the same town in the east that the Dillons came from, and that he was a long-time friend of theirs.
No, I haven't seen Chester for months. Last November, I think it was. That was the last time I saw him.
You say at that time Dillon was living in the apartment down in the Crenshaw area, Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah, that's right.
You mean he never came here to live with you?
No, it's just like I told you before. He talked about moving in here with me, but he never did. I haven't any idea where he is.
Well, he gave your name here as a forwarding address, Schaefer. Have you been getting his mail?
Yeah, matter of fact, I have. He told me he was going to do that. Never came to pick it up, though. Seemed funny to me.
You still getting his mail here, is that right?
Yeah, it's still coming. Not much of it. Maybe a letter a week. Mostly bills and advertising.
Mm-hmm. This list of names you've given us, sir, these are all the people in the East Mr. Dillon was acquainted with, people he might contact on his trip back there, is that right?
That's all of them. As far as I know, he hadn't been back there yet, though.
How do you know that?
I got a letter from my sister Gert a couple of days ago. If Chester was in town, Gert would have known about it. He would have been sure to stop by and see her. I wish I could help you. Tell you the truth, I'm getting a little worried about him myself.
Well, just have one more question, Mr. Schaefer. Do you know if Mr. Dillon was in the habit of carrying large sums of money around with him?
No, I don't think so. Chester was pretty cautious that way. He wasn't too free with a dollar, you know.
Would you happen to know if he had a large sum of money with him the last time you saw him?
No, if he did have, he didn't mention it.
I see.
You can't think of anything else that might give us a lead on Mr. Dillon's whereabouts, anything at all?
I think I've told you everything. I wish there was something I could tell you that'd help. I sure hope nothing's happened to him.
Yes, sir. Now, would you mind showing us that mail you're holding for Dillon, please?
Oh, sure, sir. Right over here. It's in the desk. There you are. That's all of it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Anything, Joe?
No, not much. Bills, circulars. There's one with a New York postmark. Elmira. Probably from his sister. Another one. Only 3 days old. From the Union Department Store. A couple more earlier dates on it. That's about it.
Yeah, I'll copy down the return addresses on it.
Fine.
Mr. Schaefer.
Yeah?
This suitcase by the desk here, initials on it. CLD.
Yeah?
CLD. Is that your bag, Schaefer?
Oh, no, I forgot to tell you. Chester left that here one day.
How was that?
Well, that was one day just before he was going to leave on his vacation. He brought it over here and said he'd like to leave it with me. Forgot to mention it to you.
Mm-hmm. Did you bring anything else with him?
Yeah, he brought another suitcase with him, just like this one. I ain't got it in the other room. He said he wanted to leave him here while he was on his vacation. I'm sorry I forgot to mention it.
Well, maybe you forgot something else, Schaefer.
What?
Most people take their suitcases on a trip, don't they? 2:30 p.m. We continued questioning Raymond Schaefer. We opened the 2 suitcases labeled with the initials of Chester Dillon and found an assortment of personal items which Schaefer told us belonged to Dillon and his late wife. Small pictures, cigarette boxes, books, similar articles which apparently would not be taken on a vacation trip. None of them were of any great value. After we left Schaefer's home, we checked him through R&I and found he had no criminal record. We checked further with friends and acquaintances of both men and found nothing to indicate that Schaefer was in any way involved in the disappearance of Chester Dillon. 3:30 p.m. We called the office and found that there'd been no answers so far to the broadcast and missing persons bulletins that we'd gotten out on Dillon. We started checking the references given us by the bank. First was the Union Department Store. It was located on Main Street in the south end of town. We checked with the credit department to see what information we could get from them.
Yes, here's the file on the Dillons right here. Chester L. and Sarah J. on Ralston Avenue.
Yes, ma'am, that's the one.
What information would you like, sir?
Well, we're trying to locate Mr. Dillon, ma'am. Have you had any recent change of address on that account?
No, we haven't. If they moved, you know.
Well, we believe so. We don't know his present address, though.
Well, we do have an outstanding bill of theirs, I noticed. Sent them several form letters. We've been trying to contact them ourselves.
Have there been any recent charges on that account, do you know?
Let's see. Nothing too recent, no. Last charge was made on December 5th. Yes, Thursday, December 5th.
That's a couple of weeks after he disappeared, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. What was that charge for, ma'am? What did Mr. Dillon buy?
Oh, Mr. Dillon didn't buy anything.
Beg your pardon?
The slip was signed by Mrs. Dillon.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action. If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's amazing new offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos.
If you don't like Fatimas better than the king-size cigarette you are now smoking, return the pack with the unused Fatimas and we'll give you your money back, plus postage.
We make this amazing offer because we believe Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes.
Smokers all over the country are confirming this every day.
Here is the latest state-by-state report.
State 1, Fatima sales up 72%. 2, sales up 54%. 3, sales up 107%. 4, sales up 192%. And those are just a few.
Remember, if you're not convinced Fatima is better than your present king-size cigarette, just return the pack with the unsmoked Fatimas before December 1st and get your money back plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1. Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
4:15 p.m., Thursday, February 7th. As soon as the clerk in the credit department at the Union Department Store showed us the sales slip with the late Mrs. Sarah Dillon's signature on it, we had the date on the sales slip double-checked immediately. The date as shown on the slip was correct beyond any doubt, December 5th. That was a little more than 2.5 months after Sarah Dillon had died. Who the person was who forged her signature or why they'd forged it, we had no idea. The amount of the charge purchase as shown on the sales slip was for $418, all of it for women's clothing. We attempted to check with the salesgirl who handled the purchase, Laura Van Kirk, but we were told it was her day off. We called her home. They told us that she was gone for the day and couldn't be located. They said she'd be at work the following morning. 4:40 p.m., Ben and I took the sales slip with a forged signature on it and drove back to the office. We went directly to forgery detail, briefed them on our findings, and gave them the sales slip. Then we drove back to the home of the Dillon's friend, Raymond Schaefer, and checked through the 2 suitcases there. We came up with a small photo of Mrs. Dillon along with exemplars of her handwriting as well as her husband's, which we found in an autograph album in one of the suitcases. The handwriting samples were checked against the signature on the sales slip, but neither of them matched. The work of compiling a list of all known female forgery suspects was begun immediately. The following morning, Ben and I went back to the Union Department Store, where we interviewed the salesgirl, Laura Van Kirk, who'd handled the purchase.
Yes, I remember making the sale, officer. I'm not too sure about the woman who bought the things, though. I mean, what she looked like.
Well, could you try to describe her for us, Miss Van Kirk, just as well as you can remember?
She had light brown hair, I'm pretty sure of that. Not too old, maybe in her late 30s, early 40s. She was a plain-looking woman, 5'5" or 6", thin as I remember her. She wore glasses, I remember that, too.
I see. You got that picture of Miss Dillon there, Ben?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here you are.
Would you take a look at this picture, miss? Now, does that look like the woman you waited on?
No, that's not her. The woman I waited on was much younger. She had light brown hair, too, not gray. Thin face, I think. And she wore glasses, I'm sure of that.
Do you remember if there was a man with her, Miss Van Kirk, or was she alone?
No, she was alone. Now that I remember, there was something very different about the glasses she wore. I don't know if that's important or not.
What about her glasses?
They were horn-rimmed, as I remember, very light color. And there was some metalwork along the top edge of the frame. Very smart-looking. Gold metal all along the top.
Light brown hair, slight build, thin face, late 30s or early 40s. Wore light horn-rimmed glasses and gold metal on the frame.
Yes, that's right.
Check me if I'm wrong, Joe. That description sound familiar?
Just what I was thinking.
Horn-rimmed glasses, metal work on them. The woman who came to see us at the office?
Yeah, you got it. Lucille Banner. Ben and I went back to the office and had Lucille Banner checked through R&I. She had no criminal record. Then we drove to the home on Ralston Avenue, which Chester Dillon had leased to Lucille Banner, and which she in turn had sublet. We obtained a copy of the lease which the Banner woman had with the current tenants and which bore her signature. We brought the copy of the lease downtown, gave it to Don Meyer in handwriting, and asked him to compare Lucille Banner's signature with the signature on the sales slip that we'd obtained from the Union Department Store. 15 minutes later, he called us at the office with the results.
Yeah, Don. That's so. You're right. Thanks a lot.
What'd he get?
Says there's no question in his mind.
Yeah.
Both signatures match perfectly.
What the reason was behind Lucille Banner's forging the signature of Mrs. Dillon on the sales slip, we didn't know. Whether or not it had any connection with the disappearance of Chester Dillon, we didn't know. As soon as we got the handwriting report from Don Meyer, Ben and I left the office immediately and drove to the bungalow which the Banner woman was renting on Ralston Avenue. It was a block down the street from the Dillon house. Lucille Banner wasn't at home, but a neighborhood gardener trimming the lawn in front of her house told us that she was expected back shortly. The gardener, who identified himself only as Julio, volunteered that he also did gardening work for Miss Banner when she occupied the Dillon home. He'd also worked for the Dillons when they lived in the house. He told us he liked the Dillons quite a bit, but that he didn't have much use for Miss Banner. He seemed to be up on all the news in the neighborhood. He trimmed the hedges of the lawn with hand shears as we talked to him.
Can you tell us anything about Miss Dillon and Miss Banner, Julio? How'd they seem to get along, you know?
They get along all right, I guess. When I worked at the big house down there for Miss Banner, that's before she moved, I would see Mr. Dillon there. He would be at the house maybe once, 2 times a week. Miss Banner would ask him to come over and cook dinner for him. Miss Banner likes him, I think. Mr. Dillon, I don't know about him. He wasn't feeling so good. Still thinking about his wife. Here, I finish up this clipping now. There, all done.
You mentioned you don't like Miss Banner very much, Julio. Why is that? She ever give you a reason not to like her?
Yeah, she's a little crazy, I think. Funny woman. When I used to work at the big house for her in the garden, she would watch me all the time, follow me all around, tell me to do all kind of crazy jobs. She gave me good pay, though, so I do them.
And how do you mean, Julio? What kind of crazy job?
The compost box for fertilizer, she wanted me to build one for her in the backyard. That was down the street at the Dillon house.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy woman. She wanted me to build a compost box in the greenhouse. Have a special place marked for her. Who ever heard of that? To build a compost box inside a greenhouse. Crazy.
Well, did you build it for her?
Yes, but not inside the greenhouse. I built it outside, right next door to the greenhouse. When she come outside, she'd go crazy almost. Call me names. Crazy. She made me tear it up. Then she made me build it inside the greenhouse, right on the place she had marked for it.
Sounds queer, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. When did all this happen, Julio? Do you remember? When you built the compost box, I mean.
A couple of months ago, about that. It was just after Mr. Dillon went away. I tried to tell Miss Banner, who ever heard of a compost box in a greenhouse? She wouldn't listen. She had to have it built in a certain place, right in the greenhouse, a little piece of ground in there. The box had to go right on top of it.
Mm-hmm. You figure she acted pretty strange about it, do you?
You think she had something there, a little piece of ground. You think she had something to hide.
1:15 p.m. Lucille Banner returned home, and Ben and I went inside the house with her, where we questioned her in the living room. Outside in the front yard, the gardener, Julio, continued working on the lawn. Lucille Banner was calm and composed. We questioned her about the forged signature on the sales slip. She would admit nothing.
The whole thing's too silly to even comment on. I don't know what you're talking about, Sergeant.
We think you do, Miss Banner. Our handwriting man's checked the two signatures, one on the sales slip and one on the lease. They both match. They were written by the same person. There's no doubt about it. Been checked thoroughly.
Now, what about it, Miss Banner? There's no way out of it. You ought to know that.
I'll deny it. That's all. I'll keep on denying it. I wasn't in that store and I didn't forge any signatures. Why would I do a thing like that? What kind of a woman do you think I am?
Well, all we know are the facts, ma'am. Now, why don't you give us a straight story? It's going to save time and trouble for everybody concerned.
You've heard everything I've got to say. This thing's ridiculous. It's stupid. I'm not answering any more questions.
You want to get your hat and coat, Miss Banner? Afraid you'll have to come downtown with us.
What good's that going to do? I'll just keep on denying it. You can't make me say I did a thing like that.
You want to get your coat, please?
It's right here. All right.
Yes, ma'am. Car's right out in front.
Hold it a minute, will you, Ben?
Yeah, okay.
Julio?
Yes, sir.
See you a minute?
Sure. Hello, Miss Banner.
Julio?
Favor I'd like to ask of you, Julio. You got a couple of minutes to spare?
Yeah, you want something?
We want to take a look in the backyard of the house down the street. Mr. Dillon's house. I'd like to have you come along with us, Julio. Won't take very long.
Sure, okay. I'll come along.
And bring a shovel along, will you, Julio? I'd like to check something.
Yeah, okay. I bring one.
Fine.
All right, Miss Banner.
What's this about? What are you trying to do?
Something we want to check in the Dillon's backyard. It won't take long.
What would it have to do with me? I don't have anything to do with that house. I don't even live there anymore. You realize that, don't you?
Yes, ma'am. We realize it.
I'll call my lawyer. I'll call him as soon as I get to a phone.
Yes, ma'am. Julio?
Back this way, Sergeant. Through the gate.
What are you trying to do to me? You know I don't live here anymore. I don't even have anything to do with this place.
You did live here, ma'am. You lived here when Mr. Dillon disappeared. Isn't that right?
What are you trying to say? You've got no business on this property. You've got no business here at all.
Yes, ma'am, we have.
What?
Did you kill Chester Dillon? Did you kill him? Miss Banner?
All right, Julio, the compost box in the greenhouse. Do you want to start digging?
In the compost box? Yeah, okay.
He was an old man. So old he was sick.
Ma'am?
He didn't want to live anymore. He didn't have any reason for living. Why shouldn't he give me the house? Why shouldn't I have his money? I was nice to him. I cooked for him. Wanted to take care of him. He just didn't want to live anymore, that's all.
All right, Julio, you can hold it up.
You want to tell us, ma'am?
He needed a woman. Anybody could tell that. He needed me. We got along fine, Chester and me. I offered to marry him, and he wouldn't do it. All he could do was think about his wife. She was dead. He'd sit around and talk about her all the time.
You killed him. Is that what you're trying to say?
I wanted to marry Chester and take care of him. He wouldn't do it. We had an argument in the kitchen one night. I had a gun and I killed him. I killed him.
Is that where you buried him? In the greenhouse?
Yes, I buried him deep. The gun, too. He'll be all right. Poor Chester.
Yeah.
He was so old. He needed a woman. Anyone will tell you that. He needed me.
Well, I guess you made a mistake.
No, Sergeant. He did.
Yeah?
He didn't want me.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On June 2nd, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
And now here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. Friends, during the past couple of years, we've had many talks with law enforcement agencies and received hundreds of letters from police officers all over the country. We're especially pleased to know that so many of these men feel as we do that Fatima is the best of all king-size cigarettes. As a matter of fact, our sales reports prove beyond a doubt that more and more smokers everywhere are switching to Fatima. When you buy your first pack, you'll understand why. You'll enjoy Fatima's extra mildness, their much better flavor and aroma. Next time, look for the golden yellow package and ask for Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Lucille Marie Banner was tried and convicted of murder in the first degree. She received the sentence as prescribed by law. She is now serving a life term in the State Penitentiary for Women, Tehachapi, California. You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Stay tuned for Counter Spy next on NBC.
My name's Regan. I work for Anthony J. Lyon, Detective Bureau. They call me the Lion's Eye.
Sunday at 8:30, and CBS brings you Jeff Regan, Investigator, starring Frank Graham as Regan, with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. So stand by for mystery, suspense, and adventure in tonight's transcribed story titled, There's Nothing Like a Pork Chop When Supper Rolls Around.
It took a heap of threatening notes to make Buddy Huckle afraid, and we had plenty of threatening notes in this one. Individual words cut from poems and pasted on plain white paper to create a message of death. If you enjoy poetry, you hate Huckle. And everyone connected with this case enjoyed poetry. Maybe it has something to do with the dictaphone that wound up telling too much and a leggy blonde that told too little. It was 3 p.m. when I checked in with my boss, the Lion, at the Detective Bureau. Somehow he looked different.
Jeffrey, my boy.
Then I saw he was wearing a flowing black tie.
Listen to this, Jeffrey.
Where's your cape, Fatso?
Listen. Listen to the exhortation of the dawn. Look to this day, for it is life, the very life of life. In its brief course lie all...
Poetry? You, Lion?
Well, just because you have no appreciation of the finer things in life, Jeffrey, doesn't mean that
Whose poetry?
Well, mine, of course.
You, the head of a detective agency, writing poetry?
A man who appreciates the beauty of the universe, the richness of living...
What's in it for you?
What do you mean by that snide remark?
What do you get out of writing this poetry?
I reap calm, peace, my boy.
How much money?
Now look here, Jeffrey.
How much?
$10,000 if I win.
Win what?
Well, our new client told me about the contest, my boy. There's a $10,000 prize for the poem, which, in the opinion of the judges...
I thought. Okay, Lion, who's the new client?
Buddy Huckle, the poet, America's Bard Laureate.
What's Hucklebuck's trouble?
No, Buddy Huckle. It seems someone is trying to intimidate him, keep him from creating more poetry.
Where do I find this bard?
At his office.
Office?
Well, he has to work someplace. Now, you get right down to this address and do what you can.
Did he, pay you?
There was a check for $200. Buddy Huckle is solvent.
Well, for an artist, that's suspicious.
You do a good job, my boy, and the Lion Detective Agency might turn up in his memoirs.
If I expected to find Buddy Huckle writing poetry in a hidden nook, I was in for a surprise. His office was on the Miracle Mile, brand new building, all glass and angles and curves. I checked the address the line had given me just to make sure. This was it. I squeezed into the Lucite elevator with salesmen, briefcases, secretaries, and a temperature of 110. Up in his office, there was a small desk and a little man behind it. Maybe 50, with a pink seamless face and short white hair like popcorn glued to a billiard ball.
May I help you, sir?
You're Buddy Huckle?
Just a moment while I staple these poems.
My name's Regan. I'm from the Land Detective Bureau.
Oh, yes. Mr. Huckle told me you were coming. Won't you sit down? I purchased that chair from the estate of H.W. Longfellow.
Where is Mr. Huckle?
Just a moment while I...
use the stapler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's Mr. Huckle now. Yes, sir, Mr. Huckle?
Come in here, Laszlo.
Yes, sir, Mr. Huckle.
Running behind schedule today.
Coming, Mr. Huckle.
The little man grabbed the stack of stapled poems and made for the inner office, his arms and legs working like a crab's. When he disappeared into the inner office, I took a look around. Hung on the wall was a certificate of merit from the Amalgamated Advertising Agencies of America, made out to Buddy Huckle. It read, in gold leaf, "Your poems move merchandise." There was a stack of magazines on Laszlo's desk. I reached for one and was about to open it when Laszlo reappeared from the inner office.
Yeah. Such a busy day.
When can I see the poet?
Oh, soon. Oh, you disturbed my stapler.
I must have done that when I picked up this magazine.
Yes, a wonderful magazine. Mr. Huckle contributes to it regularly.
Uh-huh. Folk stuff.
Yes. Oh, Mr. Huckle again. Yes, sir?
Send Regan in, Laszlo.
Yes, Mr. Huckle.
I may go right in.
Why, yes, but don't take too much of Mr. Huckle's time. He's a very busy man.
I found Buddy Huckle seated behind a bluish cast aluminum desk. Very utilitarian.
Utility, Mr. Regan. No frou-frou here.
Buddy Huckle had been handsome, but now he was a gross 40. His overlarge face hung in little white puffs, damp-looking.
You're tan, Mr. Regan. You don't get work done sitting in the sun.
Over Huckle's desk hung the motto, "Drive."
Regan, I can give you 3 minutes.
You're paying for it.
Hey, you're Regan, I like you.
Thanks.
You're utilitarian. No frou-frou. No...
What's the matter, Huckle?
Little white box. Desk.
Huckle was dying. His lips gathered blue patches around the edges. His huge head rolled weakly. I opened his desk and found a small white box. Inside there were pills as big as bullets. I shot one into his gaping mouth and he swallowed. In moments, his body firmed and he seemed to have come out of it.
Heart attack, Regan. Nothing. Have them all the time. Drive myself too hard. But that's all right. I've got money.
It makes nice salad.
You've given me a poem.
You use a dictaphone?
Well, of course. Did you think I wrote poetry with a quill pen and olive ink? Poem. Title. Money Ain't Salad. Money ain't salad, neighbor. Won't help you when you're down. There's nothing like a pork chop when supper rolls around. So spend your wealth, but not your health. Live wisely. Take a tip. For money sure ain't salad. It sure won't cure the grip. Signed, Buddy Huckle.
America's Bard Laureate.
Exactly. $100 a line.
Who's giving you trouble, Huckle?
Don't know. Take a look at these.
Poison pen notes.
Nasty business.
Uh-huh. Paste-up letters. No one's handwriting appears, so you couldn't check a typewriter. Very smart.
Yeah, all these words came from my published poem.
Yeah, individual words cut out of the poems, then pasted on a plain piece of white paper so they form a message.
Read that one.
One more poem with a chuckle, and death will take you, Huckle.
Oh, crude poetry. Rank imitation of my product.
And someone's threatening your life.
Trying to scare me into not competing in this year's Hotchkiss Award for time capsule poetry.
Time capsule poetry?
Yeah. The winning poem is placed in a time capsule and buried for posterity by Hotchkiss University. To win means nationwide publicity and, of course, a $10,000 prize.
Yeah, the lion told me. You have any idea who might want to stop your...
You're creating? No. That's why I'm paying your agency.
Mm-hmm. Who publishes most of your stuff?
I have a contract channeling my efforts into Folk Stuff magazine.
Okay, Huckle. If you need me, call me at Folk Stuff magazine.
Wait, Regan.
Yeah?
Regan, I'm scared.
He was scared. But it didn't stop his reaching for the dictaphone when I left. I'd given him another idea for a poem when I said I was going to check folk stuff. The magazine was located out in the cute section of Westwood. The building was 3 stories high and constructed to look like Paul Bunyan. The elevator operator said,
"Howdy, neighbor,"
and took me to the editorial offices. I expected to see old Father William behind the editor-in-chief's desk. But what I found was young, blonde, formed by a strict diet and exercise, dressed by Vogue, and had a voice like a warm night.
"Come in, Mr. Regan."
The secretary said I'd find the editor-in-chief in here.
"Sit down, Mr. Regan. I'm the editor-in-chief."
Yeah.
"My name's Julie. If you're a writer, Mr. Regan, I'll publish you."
Well, that's not what I had in mind.
"Then perhaps we might do a manuscript together."
That's nice, but...
I'll just turn on the phonograph. I hope you like American folk music.
Love it.
Get so lonely working up here in Paul Bunyan.
We can be lonely anywhere.
People think me unapproachable. I surprise them.
Sure, lady. Now, about Buddy Huckle.
Oh, him.
Come to think of it, maybe I'd rather hear about you. How come?
All this?
Yeah.
Why, I'm in charge of a folksy magazine.
Something like that.
There's money in folks, Mr. Regan. I bought out this magazine when I learned how many folks there were in America.
Oh. Do the folks know about you?
We don't have many folks out here in California. Mostly the sophisticated type, Mr. Regan. The kind that would take advantage of a girl if they were left alone with her.
Uh-huh.
But I see you want to get back to Buddy Huckle.
Yeah, I had that in mind.
What do you want to know?
Do you know anyone around here that would like to see Huckle stop producing poetry?
Practically all of us feel that way.
Or maybe kill him?
We're all of us capable of murder, aren't we, Mr. Regan?
Works that way.
But why do you ask about Buddy Huckle?
Well, he has a contract with your magazine. You publish all his poetry.
There must be some mistake, Mr. Regan. I don't publish a line of his.
I nodded once because of impact. Then I nodded again to say goodbye. I left still nodding to the elevator operator who said,
"So long, neighbor."
You know anything about Buddy Huckle?
Just he's doing a big broadcast from an Oklahoma barbecue over Long Beach tonight, neighbor.
I headed for Long Beach to have a long talk with Buddy Huckle. It was beginning to look like a publicity setup. When I arrived, I found the broadcasting studio on the 5th floor of the Ocean Stone Hotel. Just outside the studio door stood a woman, middle-aged, her hand gripped in her handbag. That old look of murder on her face.
Let go of my arm.
What's in the handbag, lady?
If you think I'm going to say hairpins, you're nuts.
All right, let's take a look.
I got a gun.
I thought maybe...
Let me go!
Looking for someone?
Yeah. That louse, Huckle.
You've been sending in love notes you've cut out of magazines?
Who are you?
Regan, private investigator.
Well, I'm not afraid of you.
That's nice.
I was Buddy Huckle's wife, Regan. Now he's cut off my alimony, and I'm going in there to shoot him dead.
A lot of people in there, lady. Witnesses.
Oh. You say you're right.
Thank you.
You talked me out of it.
Goodbye, lady.
Goodbye, mister. And thanks.
The broadcasting room was a regular hotel room that had been wired for sound. There was a character in a padded suit that kept eyeing a clock and rubbing his moist hands on his sleeves. This must have been the producer. Buddy Huckle was seated at a green-top table, his eyes on the papers in front of him. Wasn't quite 10, so I said hello.
Hello, Regan. I'm on the air in 2 minutes.
Oh, that's a lifetime, Huckle. If you had a dictaphone, you could make yourself $1,000 in 2 minutes.
Maybe 500.
You don't look scared.
Oh, that. You can forget our little talk of this afternoon. While I was dictating this afternoon, the culprit walked in, Mr. Regan. I found out who it was threatening me, sending me the note.
Would you mind telling me who?
Oh, nothing to worry about, nothing at all. I don't know why I was so concerned. Just figure your time and make me a refund on my retainer.
A certified pleasure.
Huh?
Quiet, please. We're ready to cut you in now, Mr. Huckle.
I'm ready, George.
Okay, stand by. You're on the air in a second. Take my cue.
Well, howdy, folks. This is America's Board Laureate, Buddy Huckle, talking to you. And, folks, I got a swell little old poem for you folks that I hope you're plumb going to like a lot. I kind of like to call it Money Ain't Salad. It goes, they say money ain't salad, neighbor. Won't help you when you're down. There's nothing like a pork chop when supper rolls around.
I couldn't take it. I gently made my way around George, the radio producer, to the door and out. It took me a little time to make my way through the crowd down to the street, and I stood there on the sidewalk for a few moments wondering about Buddy Huckle. Maybe Huckle wasn't as safe as he thought. That was his business now. And suddenly, high overhead above the sounds in the street, there was a shattering of glass. Screams from the street as a figure came hurtling toward the pavement. I jumped. Just in time. The body hit the sidewalk. If you looked hard, you could recognize what was left as Buddy Huckle. The final poetic touch was a framed sign that hit right after the body. On the sign was the motto, Drive.
This is CBS, and you are listening to tonight's adventure with Jeff Regan, Investigator, entitled, There's Nothing Like a Pork Chop When Supper Rolls Around.
A man's body was spread-eagled on a concrete sidewalk. He'd fallen, or been pushed, from the 5th floor of the Ocean Stone Hotel. The body had belonged to a poet named Buddy Huckle. Very popular guy. His discarded wife had been in the hotel gunning for him, and somebody had been sending Huckle notes threatening his life. Maybe his wife. Well, now he didn't have to worry about the race for popularity. He was dead. Since all concerned were L.A. people, Homicide finally put Sanducci on the case. When Sanducci finished in Long Beach, we drove back to L.A. in his squad car, the hearse following us.
Facts, Regan. Look at the facts.
Facts can lie, Sanducci. What's your theory?
You can't convict on theory. Speed it up, Max. We'll never make L.A.
Okay, what are your facts, Sanducci?
Look, fact 1.
Let me try. Buddy Huckle is dead.
Smart boy.
Fact 2, he fell to his death from 5 stories up.
Right.
His former wife was spotted at the scene of the crime.
And she was gunning for her former husband, Buddy Huckle. You said so yourself, Regan.
Oh. What about George, the radio producer?
He was still in the studio. Didn't see anything. Step on it, Max.
There were no witnesses.
There were 3. They say they saw a woman running away from the scene of the crime.
Oh, you know how witnesses become confused, Sanducci. They may all be wrong.
Said woman became lost in the crowd during the confusion.
Yeah, and you now have an all-points call-out on Buddy Huckle's former wife.
The woman is dangerous, Regan. She's armed.
Well, didn't the witnesses say they saw anything else?
How much you want a witness to see, Regan? Be satisfied.
You know the trouble with facts, Sanducci? You gotta stop when you've got all that'll fit. Where do you place that motto that came down on top of the body?
Give it time. It'll fit.
Yeah, well, it so happens it came from the wall of Buddy Huckle's office.
Look, did you ever hear of planted clues, Regan? The dame is trying to outsmart us. She planted a sign, tried to throw us off.
All right, have it your way, Sanducci. Hurry up, Max. We got to get back to L.A. fast. Hey, why is he slowing down?
Regulations. Max doesn't take orders from anybody but me. All right, step on it, Max.
We arrived in town. The time of night you think you see figures waiting with knives in every puddle of dark. 3 a.m. First I had to check with the line. I made it to his apartment. There was a wafer of light coming from under his door. I walked in. Lion was sound asleep on the couch. A pencil hanging from his mouth, sheets of scribbled paper on the floor. Come on, Lion, get up.
Hello, public library. Send me... Oh, it's you, Jeffrey.
Expecting a love bandit?
I must have forgotten to lock the door.
One world and a lock on every door.
Oh, as a matter of fact, I was working on my entry for the Hotchkiss Award for Time Bomb Poetry.
Capsule.
Oh, yes. I have another stanza, Jeffrey. Listen. The glory of action, the splendor...
Lion, our client is dead.
Dead? Oh, but that's horrible, my boy. When?
No
How?
time for that. Look, I gotta have your help to find Buddy Huckle's former wife.
Yeah, but I'd planned on spending the rest of the night working on my poem.
Her first name is Mona. That's all we've got. You've got to find her while I check on a dictaphone and a blonde editor.
Oh, a description, Jeffrey.
About 5'10", medium build, brown hair. Last seen in Long Beach wearing a yellow cotton dress, no hat. You're racing the police on this one, Lion. And when you get her, hang on, but be careful. She's wanted for murder. For what I needed, there was only one place to go now. The inner office of the late Buddy Huckle. Dark inside the office. Very. The door to the inner office was locked. None of my keys would work, so I used my shoulder. The door gave, and I was in the inner office. I snapped the lights on. When a man's just dead and you're in his room, you keep looking around for him. And I was alone, and I saw what I wanted, the dictaphone. I played the wax roll that was on the machine.
Signed, the Bard Laureate, Buddy Huckle.
I heard a lot of stuff. Poems, mostly, delivered in his rapid-fire manner. Then I heard myself.
You used a dictaphone? Of course. You think I wrote poetry with a quill pen and mauve ink? Poem. Title. Money ain't...
I lifted the playback head. For luck, I tried the end of the dictaphone record. This was really good.
The sign comes, the silent thrust of death by the tempered blade. Sharp, sweet sharpness. I refuse to read any more of this tribe.
Yeah, that didn't sound like Buddy's rhyming cry-pie type of poetry. I played the very end of the record to get the signature, signed Buddy Huckle. But instead I got...
You've made me read this, but I won't sign this lousy poem.
That was the end of the record. Suddenly, without looking up, I knew there was someone standing behind me.
You're Regan.
Mona!
I saw you earlier, now I see you again.
What are you doing here?
I ain't so dumb I don't know the cops are after me.
Well, they probably know you're here right now.
I snuck in.
And you're not going to reach into that purse for your gun again.
I hopped it in an all-night joint.
Well, look, why don't we just sit down quietly and talk, Mona?
Yeah, well, I ain't so dumb I don't know what you're trying to do, mister.
What am I trying to do, Mona?
Well, I just came here to see if maybe Huckle made out an alimony check for me and maybe didn't mail it.
That's what I'm trying to do?
I need all the money I can get now that the cops are hot after me for something I didn't do.
You're sure you didn't push Buddy Huckle through that window, Mona?
I ain't got the strength.
Guess not.
I need dough to run away from the cops, Mr. Regan. Maybe you could take my case, huh? I got $6 for the gun.
Well, maybe I can help you, Mona. Look, hole up in the Rondo Hotel. Give a fictitious name. The police are liable to check this office.
Gee, you've been real good to me, Mr. Regan. You took my case, and here's my $6.
No thanks. We'll take it up with the Lion later.
The Lion?
Never mind. But find that hotel. I've got to find an editor-in-chief. The phone book gave me Julie's home address. Julie being the editorial brains behind Folk Stuff magazine. It was almost dawn now, but when I rang the doorbell of her swank apartment, I got an immediate response.
Come in, Mr. Regan.
I went in.
You know the police have already come and gone.
Yeah, they get around.
You're expecting to find something they didn't?
Thought maybe.
Drink, Mr. Regan.
Well, it has been a long night.
Say when.
Now.
Rugged individualist. Decided to do that manuscript with me?
Not what I had in mind, lady.
Maybe you'll tell me what you did have in mind.
You were closer to Buddy Huckle than most people know.
Just so, sir.
Huckle had a reputation as a poet. He set you up as editor of Folk Stuff magazine. But you were pretty rich, even for his blood.
You know, you're wrong, Mr. Regan.
I am?
But it makes a good story. More?
Why don't you try? Maybe it'll make more sense.
The magazine Folk Stuff does belong to me, Mr. Regan. No strings. Although Huckle did like to spend money on women, I wasn't one of them.
Sounds good. Go on.
Buddy Huckle had a reputation that helped sell my magazine. There was only one thing. He couldn't write poetry.
Oh. So when you told me that Huckle didn't write a line that went into Folk Stuff, you weren't lying. Huh?
Even I couldn't stand his poetry. I made little changes here and there in every line. It gave me a sense of accomplishment. He didn't seem to mind.
Well, lady, I guess that's all here.
Oh, Mr. Regan.
Lonely Julie grabbed my lapels, held me tight, and kissed me, but I managed to break away after a while. I had to leave in the line of duty. And the man I had to see was the one that had last seen Buddy Huckle alive. George, the radio producer. I reached him at his home.
Mr. Regan.
You produced Buddy Huckle's broadcast at the Ocean Stone Hotel last night.
Lousy show, no fire.
Yeah, but you were the last man to see Buddy Huckle alive.
No, there must have been somebody else.
You followed Huckle out into the hallway after the lied to the police. You must have seen something. What?
I stayed in the studio.
Oh, George, open up.
Ow! I don't want to get mixed up in it. Let me alone. Now. All right. I got a police record back in Shy, Regan. You won't...
No deals. But make it the truth.
Okay. It was just I didn't want to get mixed up in no killing.
What'd you see?
I followed the star out of the studio like I always do to tell him it was a great show.
Yeah?
Only when I opened the door, I saw this little guy pop out of the crowd and plant his two hands against the star.
Buddy Huckle?
Yeah, and push him through the window.
Thanks, George. That's all I need.
I tried to step back before I saw it happen. I got a record, Regan.
Sure. Try not to worry, George. Everything may turn out all right. The little man, George, had seen push Huckle out of the window, could be Laszlo, Huckle's secretary. I checked all morning trying to find Laszlo, but he'd disappeared from the face of the earth. Then I got to thinking what kind of a guy Laszlo appeared to be. A thinker. Now, where would a thinker type go to hide if he was afraid of something? Someplace familiar to give him a sense of security, yet off the beaten path. It hit me. Sure. The public library. And that's where I found him. 2 flights below street level in the last reference room. Laszlo. His round popcorn white head was bent over a book. Hanging above his head was the public library sign, Silence.
It's you again.
Come with me, Laszlo.
No, you shan't take me alive.
Stop poking your pocket at me, Laszlo.
It's a dueling pistol. It belonged to Edgar Allan Poe, and it'll fire again in righteous cause.
Yeah, sure. Now listen, Laszlo. I know you finally blew your top about Huckle's poetry. You sent him those pasted notes threatening his life to keep him from writing any more.
He dictated his poetry.
It's all over, Laszlo.
No. You can't prove anything.
You were seen pushing Huckle to his death.
Oh. But I just couldn't stand it any longer. Today, after you left, I held this dueling pistol to his head and made him dictate one of my poems for spite. And then I resigned.
Go on.
He put money ahead of art. With his reputation, he was going to win the Hotchkiss Prize without their even looking at his work, while my poetry would go begging. You realize that I am one of only 4 men in the world who really understands Gertrude Stein?
Go on, Laszlo.
I didn't want to hurt him. Just frighten him into ceasing to write poetry.
You followed him to the broadcast last night.
Yes, it was the last resort. I was going to interrupt the broadcast. Tell the world he was an imposter, not a poet.
Yeah, but you have the motto from his wall with you.
Yes, positive proof of his inartistic approach. His motto was drive. But I couldn't go through with it. I was leaving when...
You saw Huckle leave the scene of his latest triumph, the broadcasting studio. This was too much. You killed him.
I was blind with rage.
In pushing Huckle, you dropped the motto out of the window, huh?
Well, I don't know. I don't remember. It all happened so fast.
Let's forget the dueling pistol, Laszlo. Just come along quietly.
No, you shan't take me alive.
Hand that gun over, Laszlo.
No, stand back.
The dueling pistol went off in his hand. The bullet cracked the ceiling. I grabbed the gun away from Laszlo. He didn't put up much of a fight. And then I led him from the library as quietly as possible. Sanducci, down at Homicide, felt as sorry for Laszlo as I did. But now Laszlo should have plenty of time to write poetry and not worry about selling it. State will take care of him. George, the radio producer, got a dressing down for withholding information, and I called Mona to tell her she was no longer under suspicion. And that wrote the end. It was high noon when I checked in with my boss, the Lion, at the bureau. He was reciting.
Oh, yesterday is but a dream, and tomorrow is only a vision.
You still can enter the poetry contest, Fatso?
Of course, my boy. The 10,000's as good as mine. I've just completed my work of art.
Okay. How does it go?
Oh, it's classic, Jeffrey. Yeah. Reminiscent of ancient Sanskrit poetry. In translation, of course.
Well, I've had a hard night, but I'd like to hear it.
Well, you've heard most of it. I'll just give you the ending.
Mm-hmm. Go on.
And tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness.
Oh, that's real fine.
Oh, yes. And every tomorrow, a vision of hope. Why are you walking around?
Oh, just looking, Lion.
Now, you just sit still while I finish. Look well, therefore, to this day. Such is the salutation to the dawn.
Uh-huh. What's this in your wastebasket?
Nothing, Jeffrey.
A library.
Give me that.
Oh, no.
The cleaning woman must have dropped it there.
What title of book? Great Poems by Unknown Poets.
Yeah. Well, since nobody claims them, Jeffrey, it would be a shame to see them go to waste.
Jack Webb, Investigator is written by William Frug and Gilbert Thomas, produced and transcribed by Sterling Tracy, and stars Frank Graham as Regan with Frank Nelson as Anthony J. Lyon. Original music is by Dick Arant. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
To hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent. You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to traffic investigation, hit-run felony detail. An elderly woman and her 9-year-old grandson are struck down in a pedestrian crosswalk by a speeding truck. The woman is killed instantly. Witnesses fail to get the license number. The hit-run driver escapes. Your job? Find him.
Dragnet, the documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Tuesday, December 21st. It was windy in Los Angeles. We were working the night watch out of traffic division, hit-and-run felony detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Calfee, Commander AID. My name's Freddie. It was 10:51 p.m. when we got to the Carlton Theater, the box office.
Thank you. How many, please?
Police officers, ma'am. I'd like to talk to you for a minute, if we could.
Oh, yes, you mean about the accident?
Yes, ma'am. One of the officers in the traffic car across the street. He told us you're one of the people who saw it happen.
Yes, that's right. Terrible thing. It was an old lady and her grandson, you know.
Yes, ma'am. Would it be possible for you to get a relief for a little while? A few questions we'd like to ask you about it. It won't take very long.
Well, I'll be off duty at 11. That's when the box office closes. 8 minutes to 11 now. Would you like to wait?
All right, ma'am. Fine.
Cold wind out there. Would you like to wait in here? Right around back here. I'll open the door for you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you. Yeah, it's nice and warm.
Did anybody get the license number? Do you know, officer? I mean, on that truck that ran them down?
No, not that we know of. We understand the officers in the traffic car talked to you. You didn't see the number either?
No, I'm sorry, I didn't. The whole thing happened so fast. I saw the old lady grab the little boy, pull him next to her. It was an awful thing. The truck hit them both together. It's funny the things you notice. The boy was carrying a little box of candy. I heard this terrible thud when the truck hit them. I looked and the candy was spilled all over the street. I just couldn't help it. I got sick to my stomach.
Yes, ma'am, I can understand.
Now, about this truck that ran them down, do you think you'd know it if you ever saw it again?
Well, I'm not sure. I think I might, yes. It was one of those delivery trucks, you know. I think you'd call it a panel truck. It was a light tan color all over, and there was black lettering on the side.
Mm-hmm. Could you make out any of the lettering at all?
Well, I think there were 3 or 4 words painted on the side, and I know one of them was bakery. I'm sure of that.
Did you recognize what make of truck it was, ma'am? The year, the model?
It was a late model. I'm pretty sure of that. Either a Chevrolet or a Ford, I'd say. One of those regular delivery trucks like some bakeries use.
You sure about that word you saw lettered on the side? It said bakery.
Yes, I'm positive of that.
Now, anything else out of the ordinary that you might have noticed about the truck, ma'am? Anything outstanding that might have caught your eye?
No, I'm sorry, officer. That's about all I can tell you. How is the old lady? Do you know? And the little boy? Could they tell you anything?
Yes, ma'am. The woman's dead. She was killed instantly. They've taken the youngster over to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital. Afraid he's in pretty bad shape, too.
Terrible shame. Poor old lady. She lives right here in the neighborhood, you know. Seen her shopping in the market next door here Saturday afternoon. It's just tragic.
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Boy's her grandson, you know. Somebody said he was down visiting her for the Christmas vacation. Seemed like a nice kid, well-behaved. She seemed so proud of him. Should be a sad Christmas for the family.
And just one more question, ma'am. When the boy and his grandmother were crossing the street, would you say the visibility was good? I mean, is there any reason why it would have been hard for a driver to see them?
No reason in the world, officer. It's a clear night. You can see how well the intersection's lighted up. All the Christmas lights strung up along here. The lights from the theater marquee was just as well lighted then as it is now.
Yeah, let's see.
The intersection was perfectly clear. No other cars around. The boy had a white sweater on. The old lady was wearing a light-colored coat. Certainly easy to see the traffic light, too. It said stop. I can't understand why that driver didn't see him.
No, ma'am, neither can we.
How could anybody do such a thing? It just isn't any excuse for it. No excuse in the world. It's downright murder.
Well, maybe that explains it.
What?
That's why I kept going. 11:35 p.m. Ben and I finished interviewing the cashier in the theater box office, and then we called the office and had them get out a supplementary broadcast and an APB on the description of the hit-and-run vehicle. We went back across the street to the scene of the accident where the officers in the T-car, along with the crew from the crime lab, were finishing up their preliminary investigation. We interviewed 2 more witnesses to the hit-run accident, but they were unable to tell us anything that we didn't already know. When we got back to the office, we put in a call to Georgia Street Receiving Hospital, where they told us the 9-year-old boy struck down by the hit-run driver was still in a critical condition. The husband of the 64-year-old woman, who had been killed instantly, was brought downtown to the morgue where he identified the body. The next morning, we got out a special bulletin to all garages, auto repair, and paint shops throughout the city to be on the lookout for a late-model tan panel truck, black lettering on the sides, with damage to the front end. 8:30 a.m. I checked with communications, and then I went back to the office.
Hi. Just checked with Georgia Street, Joe. Asked him about the boy.
The old lady's grandson, how's he doing?
About the same. Critical condition. That's about all they'll say.
That's a lousy shame.
Communications get any kickback on the ore point yet?
No, nothing at all. Did you get in touch with the crime lab?
Yeah, they're not going to be able to help much.
What'd they find out there? Anything at all?
Just what we saw. A few small pieces of glass, probably from one of the headlights on the truck. I don't think they're going to be able to do much with them. There's not enough for it to go on.
That's the only physical evidence they got, huh?
That's so. Might be able to tie it down a little tighter if we could find that panel.
Yeah. You start checking on that bakery truck angle yet?
McGowan and I called every bakery in town. Got it pretty well narrowed down. There's only 2 companies that use tan late model panels for delivery trucks.
Well.
Only one of them uses black lettering on the sides of the truck. Other company says they use red lettering.
Which one has the black?
Got it right here. Outfit called Nielsen's Wholesale Bakery. They got a fleet of 173 trucks, all the same. Tan color, black lettering on both sides, late model Ford delivery truck.
Mm-hmm. They tell you whether or not any of their drivers could have been making deliveries that time of night, 10:30, 11 o'clock?
Yeah, there were about a dozen of them out on deliveries. More of them to account for than that, though.
What do you mean?
All their drivers are allowed to take the trucks home with them when they're off duty if they want to.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's going to mean checking out every one of them, Joe.
Well, we might as well get moving on it. They're going to give us some kind of a list to work with, are they?
Yeah, I've got it all set up with them. Yeah? Accident investigation, Romero. Oh, yes, sir. That's all. I see. You're right, thank you. Rotten deal.
Yeah, what's the matter?
That young kid, the grandson?
Yeah.
He just died.
Many times and on many different occasions, the police officer has it proved to him that there can be very little difference between a crime of neglect and a crime that's been willfully premeditated. If you look at it closely enough, you can judge it for yourself. How much difference, for example, as far as moral guilt is concerned, is there between the following? Number 1, a man who plans a killing, takes up a gun, finds his victim, and shoots him to death. Or number 2, the man who thinks he has to look out for no one's welfare but his own, gets behind the wheel of a car, disregards the ordinary rules of safety, and proceeds to commit homicide with a motor vehicle. Oftentimes, the crime masquerades under the guise of an accident. Morally, no matter how you spell it, it adds up to murder just as surely as if the person had taken a gun and shot the victim down. The way it looked to us, the hit-and-run killing of the elderly woman and her grandson was a prime example. Wednesday, December 22nd, Ben and I began checking out the delivery trucks owned by Nielsen's Wholesale Bakery. Late that afternoon, we located one of the trucks with recent damage to the front end.
We checked and found the driver's name was Arthur V. Singer. We drove out to his home to interview him.
No, I wasn't working last night, officer. I was off. What's it all about?
Did you spend the night at home, Mr. Singer, or were you out?
I was home part of the time. After dinner, I went downtown to a little bowling. Our neighborhood team bowls every Tuesday night.
Where's that, sir?
Place downtown. It's on West 7th. Got a pretty good...
Did you drive down, Mr. Singer, or did you take the bus?
No, I drove down. Had the company truck with me. Let us use them when we're off duty. We pay for gas.
Did you drive down by yourself, or was there someone else with you?
No, I was alone. The other boys had their cars.
When did you leave the bowling alley, remember?
About 10:15, I'd say.
How'd you drive home, Mr. Singer? I mean, what route did you take?
Oh, I drove straight out West 7th, got the Coronado, came over Coronado to the house here. Why do you want to know?
What time did you get home?
About 11:15. This wouldn't be about that little scrape I had last night, would it?
What was that?
Down at 7th and Grandview, right by Westlake Park there. Old guy in the car ahead, he stopped fast right in front of me. Didn't even signal.
All right.
Yeah, I almost plowed right into him. Lucky I was watching. I slammed on the brakes, turned in toward the curb. Should have seen it. I clipped the headlight and the right fender against a telephone pole. Had to take the truck in this morning, get it fixed up.
Are there any witnesses to this accident that you had, Singer?
Yeah, a half dozen people saw it.
Did you get any names and addresses?
Well, no, I didn't. I was so teed off about the whole thing, I guess I didn't think about it.
Is there anyone at all we can check with? Anybody corroborate your story?
Just the old guy in that car. Sure a lousy driver. I really chewed him out.
Did you get his name and address?
No, but I took down his license number. Wasn't going to pay for that damage. He admitted it was his fault.
I see. Do you mind giving us that license number?
No, if I can find it. Wrote it down on the back of an old envelope. Thought I put it in my jacket, but when I looked this morning, he wasn't there. It's around someplace. I'll check around again before I leave for work. It's bound to turn up.
I'd like to have you look for it now, Mr. Singer, if you would. It's pretty important.
Well, I think I get it, officer. What's this all about, anyway?
Preliminary investigation. Want to see if you can find that number for us?
Well, why? What's it have to do with an investigation? I didn't do anything. That old man was his fault.
Well, a bakery truck was involved in a serious accident last night, the same kind you were driving. I'm afraid you're going to need some kind of an alibi, Mr. Singer.
An alibi? I don't know what you mean. Why'd I have to have an alibi?
Well, just take my word for it. You're going to need one.
Well, why do I need one?
2 reasons.
Yeah?
A 9-year-old boy and his grandmother. We continued questioning the suspect, Arthur Singer, but he denied any knowledge of the hit-run accident the night before at the intersection of Drexel and Pico Boulevard. We stayed with him while he searched his home for the license number of the car, which he said caused him to have his accident the night before. After half an hour of looking, he came up with a number scribbled on a scrap of paper which he'd found back in one corner on the floor of his closet. We put in a call to RDMV, and they came back with the information that the license number was registered to a Mr. Thomas Foley on Lankershim Boulevard. We drove out to the address to check with Mr. Foley, but there was nobody home. We left our card along with a message to contact us as soon as possible. 4:15 p.m. Ben and I got back to the office. At 4:35, Mr. Foley returned our call.
Yes, sir, that's right. Oh, you did, uh-huh. I see. Well, what time was that, do you remember? Oh. Well, all right, Mr. Foley. Thank you very much. We may be contacting you later. Right, bye.
What'd you get?
Thought this was starting out too easy.
Why? What'd he say?
Apparently, this Arthur Singer's telling us the truth. Mr. Foley says he did have a little scrape with a bakery truck last night. Described Singer as the driver of the truck.
Well, what about the location? Is Foley pretty sure about that?
Grandview and West 7. Said it happened about 10:35 last night. That puts Singer about 3 miles from the scene of the hit run. It's impossible, Joe.
Yeah.
This Mr. Foley's right. Singer couldn't have done it. Wasn't anywhere near the scene.
I sure thought he was it, didn't you?
We can drive out and double check with Foley. Can't think of any reason why he'd lie about it, can you?
Well, I guess I'll get it. Accident investigation Friday. Yeah, Ted. Where? Yeah. Nobody, huh? Yeah, right away, thanks. It's moving a little fast. Got a piece of luck here.
Who was it?
Ted Zimmerman. He and McClendon are down the south end of town.
Yeah?
The hit-and-run truck. They think maybe they found it. 4:28 p.m. Ben and I left the office and drove to the south end of the city where we met with Sergeants Zimmerman and McClendon, a block from where the tan panel bakery truck had been located. As soon as the truck had been discovered, an immediate stakeout was placed on it. A code 5 was broadcast on the vehicle's location, warning all units to stay away so as not to discourage the suspect in case he decided it was safe to return and get the truck. Ben and I drove down the side street where the truck was parked and got a good look at the front end of it. The right headlight was damaged, and so was the right fender. While Zimmerman and McClendon remained on stakeout, Ben and I contacted the Nielsen Bakery people again, gave them the number of the truck, and they traced down the driver's name for us. He was listed as Daniel Miller. He'd been employed by the bakery for the past 3 years, and he had a good record. They told us this was his day off. 5:30 p.m. We checked at his home address, but his wife told us he wasn't there. She said that besides driving a truck for the bakery, he also had a part-time job at night. He worked as a counterman at a small coffee shop out on Wilshire Boulevard. We drove out to the coffee shop and interviewed him on the job.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know where the truck is. I wish I did.
And what happened, Mr. Miller? Was it stolen?
No, not exactly. A fellow that comes in here quite a bit, his name's Paul. Good customer. He borrowed the truck from me last night. Said he'd only be gone an hour. I haven't seen him since.
Where does this man live, this friend of yours, Paul?
Well, to tell you the truth, I don't know. Good customer. He comes in quite a bit at night when I'm working. Gotten to know him pretty well. He asked to borrow the truck for an hour. Didn't think much about it. Let him have it. Is there anything wrong?
What's this Paul's last name, do you know?
No, I guess I don't. Never thought to ask him, as a matter of fact. Guess they never had any reason to.
About what time was it last night that you loaned him the truck?
A little after 8 o'clock, I think it was. He said he wanted to take his television set over to a guy he knew and get it fixed. He told me he'd be back by 10 o'clock at the latest.
You don't know where this man lives? You have no idea at all how to get in touch with him?
No, I guess I don't, Sergeant. Why?
You're in the habit of lending the truck to strangers?
No, not usually. Well, what's your beef, anyway? What's this all about?
What are your hours here at the coffee shop, Miller? When do you check in for work and when do you leave?
I check in at 7 o'clock. I go a straight 5 hours to midnight. That's when we close up, midnight.
Well, you worked that shift last night, did you? 7 p.m. straight through to midnight?
That's right. Monday through Saturday. 6 days a week. That's the schedule. It's just a part-time job for me, extra dough, you know. My regular job is driving the truck for the bakery.
Was anyone around last night when your friend Paul came in to borrow the truck? Maybe another customer, a waitress, somebody we could double-check with?
No, there were a couple other customers in the place. Don't know who they were, though. Why do you have to double-check anyway? I haven't done anything. I loaned Paul a truck, that's all.
Now, have you any way at all of proving you were here from 7 to 12 last night? Must have been some customers you waited on that you remember.
Sure, there are at least half dozen of them. They'll tell you I was here.
Why don't you have their names and addresses if you don't mind, Miller?
Yeah. Excuse me a minute, huh? Got a customer to wait on.
Sure, go right ahead.
Hi, Dan. I missed you last night.
Hi, Fred. What do you have?
Coffee. A couple of those donuts back there, powdered sugar ones.
Okay.
Yeah, me and the missus dropped in for a sandwich after the show last night. Looking for you.
That's so?
Yeah, about 10:30. Where were you, Dan?
(7:15 p.m., Wednesday, December 22nd. We continued questioning the hit-run suspect, Daniel Miller, for a full hour, but he seemed to be unable to account for his time the previous night. His first story was that he'd been on duty behind the counter in the coffee shop without a break between the hours of 7 p.m. and midnight. Then, after the customer entered and disclosed that he was in the coffee shop at 10:30 the night before and that Miller was nowhere about, the suspect switched his story. He said he thought he left the coffee shop briefly for about 15 minutes between 10:30 and 10:45 p.m. to run down the street to a hotel to say goodbye to some friends of his who were leaving for New York. We checked at the hotel, but they didn't know Miller, and they hadn't seen him the night before. They were sure of it. We returned to the coffee shop and took up the questioning of the suspect all over again, but he made little or no sense at all. Apparently, he was piling up lie after lie in an effort to cover his tracks before and after the hit-and-run murder the night before. 7:48 p.m. Ben and I pulled Miller off the job at the coffee shop and took him downtown to the interrogation room.
I'm telling you, it's the truth. I wasn't in that truck last night. I wasn't in an accident. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, then give us something to go on, Miller. You've handed 3 different stories so far. Not one of them strong enough to hold water.
I'm telling you the truth. What are you trying to hang this on me for? I didn't have a wreck and I didn't kill anybody. Why are you picking on me?
Because you don't make sense, mister. You're trying to sell us a story and you haven't got 1 ounce of proof to back it up. That bakery truck you're responsible for is the same truck that killed the old woman and the little boy. Now, you come up with a solid story that we can check on, or you're going to be resting your back in the main jail.
No wonder they call you cops dumb. I wasn't in that truck last night. Can't you get that through your heads? I wasn't in the truck. I didn't have an accident.
Then prove it to us, Mr. Miller. That's all we're waiting for.
Listen, call Bill Calder. He's a good customer. He was in last night, I think. He'll tell you. Go ahead and call him. He'll back up what I say.
What's his number, do you know?
Yeah, I got it. Here, right here in my wallet. Yeah, Bill can tell you. Yeah, here it is.
Thank you. Hello, William Calder there, please? Yes, ma'am, it's important. All right, will you have him call Michigan 5211? Yeah, 5211. That's extension 2512. Right, thank you very much. Well, he's busy. He'll call back in a minute.
He'll tell you the truth. I was in the coffee shop all night. Just those couple of minutes I ran down to the hotel to say goodbye to those friends of mine. That's the only time I left the place.
Well, how come you couldn't tell us that to begin with, Miller? You say you've got nothing to hide? Well, why do you have to hand us 3 different stories? Which one are we supposed to believe?
I got nervous, that's all, when you first come in and started to ask questions. I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't know there was any trouble. I just loaned the truck to this guy, Paul, as a favor. How'd I know what he was going to do, getting himself in a jam like that?
All right, now try to look at it from where we stand, Miller. You loan out your truck to a man. You don't know his last name. You don't know where he lives. You say he must have been driving the truck when the lady and the boy were killed.
Sure, he must have been driving it. I wasn't. I was back at the coffee shop. I was there until midnight.
All right, then prove it to us. If you know the man well enough to loan him the truck, you ought to be able to find him.
They must be Bill Calder. He'll tell you. Go ahead. See what he says.
Interrogation room, Friday. Oh, yeah, Mr. Calder. Well, my name's Sergeant Friday, LAPD, Accident Investigation. Friday, yes, sir, that's right. Wonder if you'd tell me if you know a Daniel Miller? Mm-hmm. When's the last time you saw him? Do you remember? I see. The place where he works, the coffee shop? Were you in there last night by any chance? Did you see Miller in there? You're sure? Yes, sir. No, sir, that's all for now. Thank you very much. We're going to contact you later on. Thank you. Goodbye.
Well, how about it? He told you, didn't he? That enough for you?
He says he hasn't been in the coffee shop for 3 days. 9:45 p.m. Our interrogation of the hit-and-run suspect, Daniel Miller, went on. At his suggestion, we called half a dozen people who he figured might substantiate his alibi, but none of them were able to. Miller continued to deny any knowledge of the hit-run killing, but he still couldn't account for his whereabouts at the exact hour the 9-year-old boy and his grandmother were run down. The time element especially didn't work in his favor. Nothing worked in his favor. 11:30 p.m., Ben and I took Daniel Miller over to the main jail where he was booked in on suspicion of 480 V.C. The following afternoon, his lawyer obtained a writ, and he was released from custody. The writ was returnable in 5 days. He came immediately to the office to plead with Ben and I to help him find Paul, the man who'd borrowed his truck, and thus clear himself. We took him up on it. Either way, we figured we'd get to the bottom of it. If Miller dreamed up the character Paul to escape blame for the hit-and-run killing, we were bound to find out sooner or later. If Miller was telling the truth, we had little reason to believe he was, and a man named Paul had borrowed the truck the night of the hit-and-run killing, we were bound to find that out, too. In any event, we had to investigate. It's the job of the police officer to prove guilt or innocence, not guilt alone. 2 days passed, and then another 2. The Monday following the Christmas weekend, we were ready to call a halt.
I don't know what else we can do. I think we've given enough time, don't you?
Well, the deeper we get into it, the more it looks like Miller's our man. I still can't make up my mind.
Why do you have to be stubborn about it? We've checked every possible angle on this story. We still haven't an ounce of proof that this guy Paul he talks about even exists. We can't string along with Miller forever.
I suppose you're right. We've given him a square enough break on it. I still got that funny hunch. It's possible he might be telling the truth.
We've gone 4 straight days on it, Joe. Haven't come across one lead to back up his story. It's too much for me. I can't bite anymore.
Go ahead.
Sergeant?
Oh, how are you, Miller?
I'm okay. Glad to see you. I've been looking for you.
We've been looking for your friend, Miller. Still haven't found a trace of him.
That's why I came down to see you. A friend of mine called me this morning. He knows this guy, Paul, I told you about. He says he saw him last night, going into a hotel down on South Flower.
How come we haven't heard from this friend of yours before? We've checked through twice on the list of everybody you know.
This fellow's been out of town, just got back yesterday. When he heard about the jam I was in, he called me about seeing Paul.
This hotel Paul was supposed to have been seen going into. Have you got the address of that?
Yeah, it's over on South Flower, right near 12th. You want to go over there with me right now? This friend of mine wouldn't kid me. Paul must be there.
You're sure about that?
He must be there. I'll bet a month's pay on it.
You might be low, mister.
What?
Stands to cost you a lot more than that.
We went up to the 3rd floor to room 318, but the man registered as Paul Barton wasn't in. He'd left no word at the desk as to when he'd return. We sent Miller home and told him to wait for our call. Ben and I went on stakeout at the hotel. At 7:25 that night, Paul Barton returned to his room and we began questioning him. He showed no signs of being upset. His answers were quick, straightforward, and they seemed to make sense. The interview went on. A half hour, an hour, and Barton began to grow a little nervous. He contradicted himself. Big holes began to show up in his story as to how and where he'd spent his time the night of the hit-run killing. 8:45 p.m. Ben and I took Barton back to the office. We found Zimmerman in the squad room and had him phone Miller at his home and ask him to come downtown as soon as possible. Meantime, we checked Paul Barton through R&I, and then we took him to the interrogation room where the questioning went on.
You're a little mixed up about that, aren't you, Mr. Borden? I thought you said you went to that bar downtown about 10 p.m. and then you went to visit at your sister's house. Now you tell us you went to your sister's house first and then you went to the bar downtown. Now, which is it?
Well, that's getting a little high-handed, isn't it? Why do I have to account for my time to you?
If it wasn't important, we wouldn't be asking you. I think you know that.
Well, I don't know anything of the kind. You're trying to take advantage of me. That's the only impression I can get. I think I've answered enough of your questions. I'm going back to the hotel.
Just a minute, Borden. There's one more thing.
Yeah?
Last time you were arrested for a traffic violation, you want to tell us what the charge was?
What?
I think you heard me.
Well, that was a year ago. I was driving a little too fast going out Beverly Boulevard. And what's that got to do with it?
Our record bureau says the charge was for drunk driving. Your license was revoked, isn't that right?
Well, so what? I haven't been driving. I haven't been near a car.
What about last Tuesday night?
Huh?
Last Tuesday night, did you do any driving then?
No, of course not.
Sure about that?
You're not trapping me. I answered all your questions. Now I'm getting
you're
out
going
of
to stay
here.
right where you are, mister. Stay put. Ben, you want to check next door, see if Miller's come in?
Yeah, okay.
You can't make me stay here. It's illegal. You got nothing to hold me on.
All right, then there's nothing to worry about. This won't take very long. We got a man by the name of Miller coming in. He says he thinks he knows you.
Miller? I don't know any Miller.
Nice going, Paul. Where you been? I said, where you been? What'd you do with the truck?
Yeah, grab him, Ben. Grab him.
Okay, all right. Now, let me go.
Settle down. Come on, mister. Settle down.
I didn't do a thing. Well, look, you can't prove it. You can't prove I did.
They're going to prove it, Paul. I'm going to help them prove it. You sure been a real good friend.
Look, give me a break, Dan. I didn't mean it. Honest, I didn't mean it.
I loan you the truck. You get boozed up. You run down a little kid and a grandmother. Then you take off and leave me holding the sack, like I did it.
Well, I didn't mean it, Danny. It was an accident. I wasn't boozed up.
Yeah, you're a real good friend. I hope you get it in the neck. I hope you get it with both barrels.
Look, Sergeant, it's not true. I wasn't boozed up. I only had 2 drinks. Now, believe me, that's all I had.
Yeah.
I couldn't have been drunk. It doesn't affect me that way. 2 drinks never hurt me. A couple of drinks never hurt anybody.
They killed a little boy and his grandmother.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On February 28th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 87, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. Paul Barton was filed on for violation of the State Vehicle Code, Section 480, a hit-and-run felony, and also for manslaughter, 2 counts. He was convicted only for Section 480 and received sentence as prescribed by law. A hit-and-run felony is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 1 nor more than 5 years. Just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
The story you are about to hear is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Fatima Cigarettes. Best of all, king-size cigarettes brings you Dragnet.
You're a detective sergeant. You're assigned to burglary detail. One of your informants contacts you by telephone. He says he wants to see you immediately. He claims knowledge of more than 24 burglaries committed in your city. He offers the information despite threats against his own life. Your job, investigate. The latest Fatima sales report shows thousands and thousands of king-size cigarette smokers are switching to Fatima.
For the month of October, coast-to-coast actual figures show Fatima sales are up 110%, or more than double.
Fatima, best of all king-size cigarettes. Definitely the best quality in its class. But the same price as the cigarette you are now smoking.
Remember, thousands of Americans are switching to extra mild Fatima. Next time, insist on the best, king-size Fatima, in the distinctive golden yellow package.
a documented drama of an actual crime. For the next 30 minutes, in cooperation with the Los Angeles Police Department, you will travel step by step on the side of the law through an actual case transcribed from official police files. From beginning to end, from crime to punishment, Dragnet is the story of your police force in action.
It was Monday, April 16th. It was foggy in Los Angeles. We were working the day watch out of burglary detail. My partner's Ben Romero. The boss is Captain Wisdom. My name's Freddie. We were on the way out from the office, and it was 1:38 p.m. when we got to the corner of North Main and Sotelo Street. Johnny Cokin's Cafe.
Pretty well filled up. You want to sit at the counter?
There's a booth over there in the corner. People just leaving.
Oh, yeah. Didn't see it.
This is all right, isn't it?
Yeah, fine. Oh, it smells good. I wonder what the special is today.
Well, it's up there on the blackboard.
Oh, yeah. Enchilada with cheese, coleslaw, salad. It does smell pretty good, doesn't it? Wish I hadn't had lunch. I should have waited. I keep forgetting Monday's enchilada day down here. Sure like the way Johnny fixes it.
Hello, Friday. Ben, how are you?
Hi, Roberta.
Yeah, get these dirty dishes out of the way.
Okay, fine.
Is it going to be the special?
No, we forgot today was Monday. We had lunch already.
Too bad. What'll it be, just coffee?
Yeah, it's fine.
Friday?
Yeah, same for me, Roberta. Both of them black, I guess.
Okay, 2 blacks.
Say, you haven't seen Smalley around this afternoon, have you, Roberta? Red Smalley?
Red? No, I haven't seen him for a couple of days.
Okay.
Thought he said to meet him here at 1:30.
Well, he'll be along. He's never been on time as long as I've known him.
Yeah, I wonder what's eating him. He sounded a little excited on the phone.
Did he give you any idea what it was all about?
No, just said it was important. Had to see it. Hey, I was just thinking, maybe I could handle one of those enchiladas after all.
Yeah, there's Red.
All right,
fellas. Hope I ain't late.
All right.
Been a long time,
Yeah,
huh?
sit down, Red. Good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. What's new with you, anyway?
Oh, not too much. How's it with you?
Here you are. 2 coffees black. How are you, Ben?
Hungry. What about a hamburger steak, huh? Some coffee, too.
Hamburger steak and coffee, right?
You're looking pretty fair shape, Red. You working steady now?
Well, you know how it goes. On again, off again. Put in a full month playing bar boy at Ziggy's joint place down in South Main, you know.
Mm-hmm. What happened there?
Business fell off, and Ziggy said he had to let me go. Been kind of thin ever since. I'm hustling programs out of the racetrack right now. It's not too bad. Can't afford to bet, but I get to see the races free. You can't have everything, I guess.
I understand you're a little worried about something, Red. Anything serious?
Well, yeah, it might be. Like I was telling Romero on the phone, it wouldn't do me no good if it got out. I mean, me talking to you about it, you know. He'd probably tie a can on my tail if he knew I told you.
Who's that?
Guy by the name of Jeff Allen. You know him?
No, it doesn't sound familiar to me. Ben?
Me neither. Who is he, Red?
Second-story worker. Lots of savvy, too. He's fell a couple of times on burglary raps. Knows his business, though. Got a lot of moxie.
How long has he been in town, you know?
Oh, about 6 months, I think. Come from the east. Finished a stretch back in Michigan. He's a real pro.
Uh-huh. What's he doing out here, Red?
Well, matter of fact, that's what I want to talk to you about. Figured maybe you ought to know.
Yeah?
He's doing real good, the way I get it. I heard him and a couple other guys talking about it one night down at Ziggy's. They were having a couple of beers. Guess they didn't think I could hear him.
What'd they have to say?
This guy Allen was running off about how good he was doing, how many places he knocked over in the last couple of months, how much stuff he took.
And what's he look like, Red?
Oh, pretty average. About my height. Dark hair, little scar right here on his chin.
Mm-hmm.
About 160, 70 maybe, 36 years old. Usually wears leather jacket and black one.
All right, Red, here you go. Burger steak, coffee.
Yeah, fine. Sure got a good appetite these days, working out in the air, you know. It does you good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll show you one passing that ball at Fletcher, Sergeant.
Oh, yeah. Here you go.
Good.
These burglary jobs Alan's supposed to be pulling, Red. Where's he working them? Do you know that?
No, I guess I don't. It's all over town, I suppose. Sure good hamburger.
When you overheard him talking to his friends, did he mention any jobs in particular that he pulled?
No, but he's working hard. I know that for a fact. He pulls a new one every week or so, the way I get it.
And what about his M.O., Red?
Regular second-story routine. He uses a Jimmy or a small pinch bar. He usually goes through a window.
Does he work alone?
Strictly. His French bread's nice and fresh.
Yeah. Where's Alan staying in town? Do you know, Red?
No, I don't. I know where I can find him, though. The 1322 Club out on North Paris. He hangs out there quite a bit, almost every night. I think the guy who owns the joint's a friend of his.
Jeff Allen. Is that supposed to be his right name, Red?
As far as I know, I only met him a couple of times. He hung around Ziggy's place when he first come to town. Of course, I didn't know what he was up to then.
Do you know him well enough to talk to him?
Well, just about, yeah. I'm not buddies with him or anything. That's why I don't want it to get out, you know. If he gets the word I'm on your team, I'm a dead duck. I don't think he'd waste a minute killing me.
You don't have to worry, Red. We'll keep it quiet. Well, did you hear anything else? Or is that just about the size of him?
No, that's just about it, fellas. I'll keep near the ground. If I get any more rumbles, I'll pass it on. Well, guess you know I really hate to talk about it.
What's that, Red?
Well, I mean how bad things have been running lately, you know, since I got laid off with Ziggy.
Uh-huh.
I hustle like mad with the programs down the track. Doesn't bring in a whole lot, though. And a lousy landlady had to raise my rent last week.
Mm-hmm. Well, how much can you use, Red?
Well, you know, as hard as anything at all, just a little loan, maybe something to help me over the hump.
Well, the only thing I have is a 20, Joe. You got any change?
Thanks, Romero. 20 will be fine. That's plenty. I sure appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
Well, real good hamburger steak Johnny puts out. I gotta get going, fellas. Gotta be down the track.
All right, Red. Thanks a lot. If there's anything else, call us, huh? You got our number.
Sure thing. I'll stay right on.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me for anything, holler, huh? I'm still at the same place.
Right.
Thanks a lot, huh? See you later.
Yeah. Take it easy, Red.
Yeah. Bye, Red. He's getting a little expensive, huh?
He's probably been having a rough time, but he looked hungry to me.
Sure did. Grabbed that $20 bill like his life depended on it. I went to buy some new wool socks with there.
Well, I'll split it with you. Be worth more than $20 if the tip pays off.
Well, don't get me wrong. I didn't mind giving him the $20. It was worth it, but look at this here.
Oh, you have to check for the food, huh?
Yeah, I think the least he could have done was pay for his own lunch.
By and large, the character of the informant, in fact or fiction, isn't generally regarded with too much sympathy. To most people, the informant's nothing more than a stool pigeon, a squealer, somebody who, by the very act of informing, commits a sin against a supposedly popular unwritten law. Well, it's obvious that this isn't always so, because in the interests of law enforcement and justice, which means the betterment of the community, the informant very often plays a major role. Year after year, informants are responsible for the apprehension and conviction of many hundreds of criminals, people who rob and cheat and commit murder, crimes that are obviously far deadlier than informing. As for the mechanics of law enforcement at the level of the working detective, the informant is considered virtually indispensable. It's been said before by peace officers, and it'll probably be said again quite a few times. If your job is catching criminals and enforcing the law, this is the first rule you have to learn. The working detective is no better than his informants. 2:12 p.m. Ben and I had no idea if the information we'd gotten from Red Smalley was authentic or not, but it had to be checked out. We went back to the office and had Frank Cunningham and R&I check on Jeff Allen. We also had the stats office make a run for us on suspects with similar M.O.s. Then we started to page through reports of burglaries which had occurred throughout the city during the past 3 months.
No.
How you doing over there? Anything at all?
Not too much. Wait a minute, maybe. This might be one of them.
Here, let me see.
Home in Hollenbeck Park neighborhood. Burglar's M.O. matches out and a time element, too. Happened 6 weeks ago. Window on the second floor of the house was pried open. They took furs and money, $23.
Uh-huh. That's the only one you found?
Another one here I took out a minute ago. M.O.'s pretty much the same on this one, too. Only thing different is the night of the week it happened on. This one's a Thursday. That one there's a Sunday.
Yeah, checks out pretty close otherwise. The only one thing I can't figure.
What's that?
Well, Allen's supposed to have been in the city for at least 6 months. According to Red, he's working a job maybe once a week, once every 10 days or so. Now, you got 2 reports there that match his M.O. here. I picked out 2 more from that other pile. Seems to me if he's been working in town for a couple of months, there ought to be more than 4 reports on him, shouldn't there?
I got it. Burglary in Merrill. Oh, yeah, Frank. Jeff Allen. That so? Oh, you have, huh? Okay, right, Frank. Thank you.
Yeah?
All right, I got to make on Allen. He's had one arrest here 4 years ago on a vag charge. He's a loser out of Michigan. Fell for burglary. Never been picked up for burglary here, though. He isn't registered.
And that's all, huh?
That's it.
Doesn't seem to gel right to me, does it to you?
A lot of loose ends to figure out.
I wonder if Red was handing us a line on this thing.
Why would he?
Well, maybe he needed that $20 touch. Maybe this Jeff Allen's an old pal of his. Red had a falling out with him. He wants to get even with him, I suppose.
Possible, I guess. I don't know.
Hi, Joe. Sam?
Oh, hello,
Tabor, what do you say? What's with you? You still on that stakeout south end of town?
Yeah, 3rd week. Sure getting dull. You two are busy. What's all this?
Oh, we got a tip on some prowl artist trying to get a line on him.
Take a look at this 3.1, will you, Jim? You run into any jobs recently that stack up like this in here?
Let's see.
We're shooting in the dark on it so far. I don't know if we got anything or not.
I'd say you got it. Burglary report in 77 Division this morning. Happened to check it when I was out there.
Same MO as this?
Same everything.
4:55 p.m. Ben and I went down the hall to the record bureau and picked up a couple of mugshots of the suspect, Jefferson Allen. Then we drove out to the 1322 Club on North Ferris Avenue in the Silver Lake District, the neighborhood bar where Allen spent most of his time, according to our informant, Red Smalley. We staked out in a car down the street where we could keep an eye on the front door to the bar and still not look suspicious. Between 5 and 7:30 p.m., we watched at least 24 customers entering or leaving the bar, but none of them came close to Allen's description. 8 p.m., nothing. By the time we were relieved on stakeout at 11 p.m., Allen still had failed to show. Late the following afternoon, we were back at the same spot, watching for a sign of the suspect. 6:48 p.m.
How you fix the smokes?
Oh, I think I got a couple left. Yeah, here you go.
Oh, thanks.
Los Angeles.
I got a light here.
Yeah.
11A, 6th and Spring. 11A, 6th and Spring.
Hey, have a look, Joe. Gray hat, dark suit. Just came out of the bar.
Yeah, it's coming this way. Yeah, I'll buy it. That's him.
Getting in that blue sedan.
All right, don't press him. Let's give him a good lead.
All right.
He's getting in.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Joe?
Let's wait a minute.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, okay, we're clear.
All right.
You got him spotted?
Yeah, no trouble. That's a funny one, huh? Wonder why we didn't see him go in the bar.
I don't know. Might be a delivery entrance in the back of the place we could have missed.
Can you make out that license number?
Can you pull out just a little?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, let's see. 7 Tom 7 972. I better check it. 80K to Control 1. 80K to Control 1.
Control 1 to 80K. Go ahead.
Control 1, request rolling make and DMV on 7 Tom 7 972. That's 7 Tom 7 972.
Control 1 to 80K, Roger. Stand by. KMA 367.
Doesn't seem to be in any great hurry. Barely poking along.
Where is he now? I can't see.
Just turn right onto Bronson. I want to give him plenty of lead.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's him up ahead there.
Picking up speed now. Don't lose him.
All right.
Control 1 to 80K. Control 1 to 80K. Come in, please.
Here we go. 80K to Control 1. Go ahead.
7 Tom 7972. The car is registered to be Denver J. John Carpenter, 1322 North Ferris Avenue, Los Angeles.
80K to Control 1. Roger. KMA 367.
Carpenter, same guy that owns the bar, isn't it? His Allen must know him pretty well.
Well enough to use his car. Wonder what the pitch is there. You checked on Carpenter, didn't you?
Yeah, clean bill of health, no record. Hey, up ahead there. Now he's slowing down.
Yeah. Turning up on that driveway. Pull up under that tree there, huh?
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
See him?
Uh-huh. He's getting out. Going into that bungalow over there. Letting himself in the front door.
No sign of anybody else there, huh?
No. House was dark when we drove up, wasn't it?
He couldn't be living there alone.
He might be.
Doesn't make much sense to me. Why would a single guy get himself a house that big?
Well, let's wait it out. Maybe he'll come up with the answer. 9:15 p.m. We continued our stakeout on the bungalow on South Bronson Avenue. A little more than an hour passed when we saw the lights go out in the house. The suspect, Jeff Allen, came out the front door, locked up, got in his car, and drove off. Ben and I followed him. He drove directly to the bar on North Ferris Avenue, the 1322 Club. He parked his car and went inside. Ben and I drove back to the cottage on South Bronson and let ourselves in through the back door. A preliminary check of the house failed to give us any real proof that Allen was the suspect we wanted. The only possible lead we came up with was an expensive hunting rifle, which we found stored away in one of the closets. We copied down the serial number on the gun, drove to a neighborhood cigar store, called the office, and asked him to check out the number for us.
Yeah, all right, Murph. We'll wait for the call. Yeah, thanks.
How'd you do?
Gonna check it through now, they'll call us.
Good. I'm a little hungry, aren't you? Would you like candy bar?
No, I'm getting a little tired of them. I wouldn't mind a square meal, though. My back's killing me. Never been so sore in my life.
Well, what's the matter? Did you fall?
No, nothing like that. It's my snoring again.
You're snoring? What's that got to do with it?
Almost broke my back. It's the wife's idea. She claims when I'm sleeping, I roll over on my back and snore, says it keeps her awake all night.
Well, there's not much you can do about it, is there?
Yeah, the wife thought of something. Supposed to be an old home remedy. She sewed a couple of golf balls right into the back of my pajamas. You get the idea behind it? If you roll over on your back, the golf balls dig into you and you have to roll over on your side again.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what happened to you?
Well, I'm a sound sleeper. Rolled over on my back and stayed there. Slept on those golf balls all night. Woke up in the morning like to have died. Felt like I'd snapped a couple of vertebrae.
Must be an easier way to keep you from sleeping on your back.
Well, it wouldn't do any good anyhow, George. Just won't work.
What do you mean?
I snore just as loud sleeping on my side.
I get it. Hello? Yeah, Murph. This is Joe Friday. Mm-hmm. W615344? Yeah, that checks. That was a serial number. When was that? Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, okay, Murph. Thanks. Bye. I think maybe we got a break.
Yeah?
They got a make on the gun we found.
Is it registered to Allen?
No, it was taken in a burglary 2 months ago.
You are listening to Dragnet, authentic stories of your police force in action.
Millions heard it, yet only 46 have written.
Starting on Dragnet over a month and a half ago, on September 20th to be exact, Fatima made a special money-back offer to more than 10 million listeners. The results? Amazing.
Millions heard it, yet only 46 have written.
If you smoke king-size cigarettes, listen to Fatima's famous offer.
Buy a pack of Fatimas. Enjoy their extra mildness and superbly blended tobaccos. If you're not convinced Fatima is better than the king-size cigarette you're now smoking, just return the pack and the unsmoked Fatimas before December 1st, and we'll give you your money back, plus postage. Fatima, Box 37, New York 1.
Fatima's latest sales report shows Fatima sales up in every state in America. The month of October, coast to coast, actual figures show Fatima sales up 110%, or more than double.
Yes, thousands and thousands of Americans are switching to king-size Fatima. So why wait? Switch to Fatima today. Extra mild. Best of all, king-size cigarettes.
Tuesday night, April 17th, 10:38 p.m. We got additional information from the office on the hunting rifle that we'd found in the bungalow to which we'd trailed the suspect, Jefferson Allen, a few hours earlier. The gun was registered to a Mr. Robert LaSalle, 3008 Bush Street. The rifle, along with $300 in jewelry and $48 in cash, had been taken from LaSalle's home 2 months before during his family's absence. The burglar's method of operation matched Allen's alleged M.O. exactly. 10:45 p.m. After arranging for a stakeout to be placed on the bungalow on Bronson Avenue, Ben and I drove to the 1322 Club on North Ferris, where we located the suspect, Jeff Allen.
Yes, sir, that's correct, Sergeant. I'm from back in Michigan originally. Been out here about 6 months now. Think I'm going to like it. Sure can't beat this weather, huh?
You've been working here at the bar ever since you got in town, is that right?
No, not quite. I've been here for about 4 months. It's kind of a handyman job. I help the bartender when I can, keep the storeroom in order, see everything ship-shape, you know.
Uh-huh. You ever been in Los Angeles before, Allen?
Yeah, just once before, a couple of years ago. Wasn't so good then. Jobs were hard to get. I ran into a little bit of trouble. Finally went back east again.
I see. What was this trouble you had?
Well, as I say, jobs were pretty hard to come by then. I kept checking around, but I couldn't find anything. Wasn't so good. I finally got picked up on a bag charge.
Mm-hmm.
Spent a couple of weeks at the county. When I got out, I figured the best thing was head back east again. A lot better this time, though. I'm doing okay. See, I couldn't get you anything.
No, thanks. It's the same.
There's something maybe you'd like to talk to me about? Anything I can help you with?
It's a routine checkup we're on. Got a few more questions for you, if you don't mind.
Sure. Let's take one of these booths back here, huh? Might as well be comfortable.
Yeah, okay. Go ahead.
You sure I couldn't get you anything? A bottle of beer, Coke, maybe?
No, thanks.
You have your family out here with you, Alan, your wife?
No, I'm not married, Sergeant. I haven't taken the plunge yet. Figure there's plenty of time for that. It's hard enough to keep myself going these days, let alone a family.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
You ever been arrested before, Alan? I mean, other than that bag charge you mentioned, you ever served any big time?
Yeah, matter of fact, I have, back in Michigan. Pretty dumb trick. I got in trouble as a kid. Burglary. Served all my time, though. I don't owe 'em a day. I'm washed up with that stuff a long time ago. It just doesn't pay, that's all.
Then that last time there was any trouble was that bag charge. Is that it?
Yes, sir, that's it. As I say, I'm all washed up with that stuff. It doesn't pay off at all. I got wise to that.
Mm-hmm. Glad to hear it, Alan. You figure you're going to stay on here, then. Make this your permanent home.
Yeah, I think I might. I sure like the weather. Job suits me, too. Boss even lets me use his car once in a while. Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, huh? Where you living now? You got an apartment in the neighborhood here?
Yeah, I got an apartment. Nice little place. Not exactly in the neighborhood, though. It's out in West Hollywood, right on a bus line. No trouble getting into work. Just a small apartment.
Whereabouts in West Hollywood? You mind giving us the address?
No, it's on Norwich Avenue. Why do you ask?
It's part of this routine check we have to make. You mind very much if we drive out there with you and look the place over?
No, I don't mind. I mean, if you figure I need checking out, I'd just as soon clear it up now. I got nothing to hide. You want me to get my coat?
No, that's all right.
Say, I should be back here in an hour or so. What do you think? I mean, it's just a routine check. It won't take long, will it?
No, not too long. I suppose you can figure that better than we can.
How do you mean?
You said you had nothing to hide. 11:20 p.m. We drove the suspect, Jeff Allen, to his apartment on Norwich Avenue. It was more than 2.5 miles from the bungalow on South Bronson where we'd followed Allen earlier that night and where we'd located the stolen hunting rifle. While Ben and I made a thorough check of the apartment, Allen sat relaxed in an easy chair. Ben and I covered everything in the apartment, but there was no evidence of any loot taken in the burglaries.
That's about it, Joe. Checked everything.
Okay.
That's about it, huh, Sergeant? You fellas want a beer before we go back to the club?
Just one or two more questions, Alan, and I think we can wash this thing up.
Sure, Sergeant.
Do you rent some other place in town? Another house or an apartment, maybe?
Another place? No. Why would I do that? This is my apartment. This is where I live. Why do you ask that?
About 6 o'clock tonight, you were seen going into a bungalow over on South Bronson, the same neighborhood as the club where you work. We got a pretty good idea that there's quite a bit of loot from burglaries stored in that house.
I don't follow you, Sergeant. I don't know what you mean. I don't live on South Bronson. I live here. You ought to be able to tell that.
You were seen going into the bungalow, Alan, about 5 minutes past 6 tonight. We found a stolen hunting rifle in the house. It was taken in a burglary. You think you want to tell us about it?
No, I can't tell you anything about it. I don't have any bungalow on South Bronson. I'm not even sure I can tell you where the street is.
Well, you better get your hat, mister. We'll show you. 11:48 p.m. We got in the car and started driving down Beverly Boulevard back toward the bungalow on South Bronson Avenue. When we got to the bungalow, the suspect still refused to admit that he had a key to the door or that he was in any way concerned with the place. We had him empty his pockets, and among his possessions we found a ring of keys. We tried them on the front door of the bungalow. The fourth one we tried opened it. We went inside. Allen still would admit nothing. Ben contacted the landlady next door, and she said she'd be right over. I continued questioning him while Ben checked through the house again.
Hey, Joe.
Oh.
Joe, you want to come back here? I think we've got something.
Yeah, all right, Ben. You want to go ahead back there, Alan?
Sure, okay. Still can't tell you what the score is, though. I don't belong in this place. It ain't mine.
Well, that key you had seemed to fit the front door all right. How do you figure that?
It doesn't mean anything. I had that key for years. I think it's a skeleton key. Opens almost any kind of lock.
Down here, Joe. Small basement here. Leads right down off the kitchen.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, Alan.
Have a look, Joe. Line of cupboards all the way around here. Check them for yourself.
Yeah, all right. Pretty good haul. Furs, machinist tools. Jewelry. Quite a bit of it here. A couple of radios. 2 more hunting rifles. Come on, how about it, Alan? You want to save time for all of us now?
You got it wrong, Sergeant. This isn't my place, I told you. When I got out of that trouble back east, I made up my mind I was all washed up with this kind of stuff. This house isn't mine. I haven't got anything to do with it.
You're kidding yourself, Alan. You know that.
No, you got it all wrong. You got it all mixed up.
Well, we'll let the landlady tell us.
The woman who owns this house, she's on her way over from next door. She ought to be able to tell us who she rented the place to. Wouldn't you say so? Wouldn't you?
She might be wrong. It's possible.
No, look, we got you dead to rights, mister. Why not face it?
Can't. I won't do it. I made up my mind the last time. It wouldn't happen again. I was all washed up with it. I won't go through it again. They'll send me back. I won't be able to take it.
Maybe you should have figured that before you started in.
I didn't mean to. I was all washed up with that stuff. I told you that the first time I saw you, didn't I?
Yep.
I'm sure of it, too. I wouldn't try it again. Didn't pay. It's just what I told you. I'm all through with it. I'm washed up with it. I never lied to you, did I?
What's the difference?
Huh?
You lied to yourself.
The story you have just heard was true. The names were changed to protect the innocent.
On July 6th, trial was held in Superior Court, Department 86, City and County of Los Angeles, State of California. In a moment, the results of that trial.
Now, here is our star, Jack Webb.
Thank you. September. Fatima first made its famous money-back offer. Millions heard it, yet only 46 have written. October. Actual figures reported Fatima's sales up 110% coast to coast, or more than double. November. Thousands more switching to Fatima. So why wait? Buy Fatima. Best of all, king-size cigarettes. And, Mr. Dealer, that's your cue for November. This month, with Thanksgiving and the holidays coming up, I know you'll want to get your full share of all the new Fatima business. Check your Fatima stock tomorrow. Make sure you can take care of the thousands of Americans who are switching to Fatima, insisting on Fatima quality.
The apprehension of the suspect, Jefferson Harold Allen, resulted in clearing 22 cases of burglaries committed over the past 4 months. Allen was indicted on 22 counts of first-degree burglary and received sentence as prescribed by law. First-degree burglary is punishable by imprisonment in the state penitentiary for not less than 5 years.
Ladies and gentlemen, only 2.6 patients out of every 100 reaching the most forward hospitals in Korea died later. The comparable figure in World War II was 4.5. According to official medical statements, the almost miraculous success in saving the lives of casualties is owing in part to the prompt use of blood plasma on the battlefield and whole blood in military hospitals. Whole blood reduces shock, a potential killer, and replaces blood lost through bleeding. In the treatment of many battle casualties, there's no substitute for blood. Every American who has given blood can and should feel he personally has contributed directly to the saving of the life of an American boy. This month, your country is short 300,000 pints of blood. Please give your blood and save a life.
You have just heard Dragnet, a series of authentic cases from official files. Technical advice comes from the Office of Chief of Police W.H. Parker, Los Angeles Police Department.
Fatima Cigarettes, best of all king-size cigarettes, has brought you Dragnet, transcribed from Los Angeles.
Today's the silver anniversary of NBC.